Rain hammered the cracked pavement of Hell's Kitchen like bullets searching for flesh. Nia Brooks pressed herself against cold brick, heart slamming against ribs, while three drunk men closed in with the kind of laughter that promised violence. 26 years old, working double shifts just to survive. And tonight she was about to become another statistic nobody would remember. Then a fourth man stepped out of the downpour, Kang Min-jae, the Korean mafia boss everyone whispered about, but nobody crossed. And everything changed. He dismantled her attackers in seconds without saying a word, draped his expensive coat over her shaking shoulders, and asked if she could walk. That single act of mercy made her a target for every enemy he ever made. Because in his world, being seen beside him meant you mattered, and things that matter get destroyed. If you want to see how a terrified waitress survives the most dangerous man in New York, watch until the end. Hit that like button and drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I want to see how far this story travels. The rain came down hard enough to drown sound. Nia Brooks kept her hood pulled low over her face, denim jacket soaked through, sneakers splashing through puddles that reflected neon signs and broken streetlights. Her feet ached from 10 straight hours of carrying plates and dodging handsy customers at the diner on 9th Avenue. Tips tonight barely covered her subway fare home. Home. That word felt generous for the roach-infested studio she rented in a building that should have been condemned years ago. She cut through the alley behind 10th Avenue because it shaved off 2 blocks, and her legs couldn't handle 2 more blocks. Stupid decision. She knew it the second she heard boots scraping concrete behind her. Hey, pretty girl. Nia kept walking, head down, eyes forward. The universal language of women who understood danger. I'm talking to you. 3 men stepped into the alley mouth ahead of her, blocking the exit. White guys, mid-30s, dressed like they just stumbled out of a sports bar, drunk enough to be reckless, sober enough to coordinate. Her stomach dropped. Lost? The tallest one grinned, spreading his arms wide like he was welcoming her to a party. We can help you find your way. Nia backed up. Her heel hit a puddle. The men behind her laughed. She was surrounded. Please. Her voice came out smaller than she wanted. I don't want trouble. Nobody wants trouble, the tall one said, stepping closer. But sometimes trouble finds you anyway. The smell of whiskey hit her first. Then his hand shot out, fingers closing around her wrist. Nia yanked back, but his grip tightened, nails digging into skin. Let go of me. Or what? The other 2 closed in. One grabbed her other arm. The third moved behind her, blocking any escape route. Rain poured down her face, but she couldn't tell anymore if it was rain or tears or both. This was how it ended. In a filthy alley in Hell's Kitchen while the city kept moving around her like she didn't exist. Then the man holding her left arm made a sound, half gasp, half choke, and crumpled. Just dropped. The tall one spun around. What the? A fourth man stood in the rain. He wore a charcoal overcoat that probably cost more than Nia made in 6 months. Dark hair slicked back from a face carved from stone and patience. Korean features. Late 30s, maybe 40. He didn't look angry. Didn't look scared. Didn't look like anything at all. That emptiness was somehow worse than rage. Let her go. His voice was quiet, conversational. The kind of tone someone uses when ordering coffee. The tall man laughed. Mind your business, man. We're just... Min-jae moved. Nia didn't even see it happen. 1 second, the tall man was talking. The next, he was on the ground clutching his throat, making wet, choking sounds while his face turned purple. The third attacker pulled a knife. Min-jae caught his wrist, twisted, and the knife clattered to the pavement. Something snapped, bone or cartilage or both, and the man screamed. 8 seconds, maybe 10. 3 grown men on the ground, 1 unconscious, 1 crying, 1 still trying to breathe. Min-jae straightened his coat with calm, practiced movements. He looked at Nia for the first time. Can you walk? She nodded, couldn't speak. Throat closed up tight. He shrugged out of his overcoat and draped it over her shoulders. The fabric was warm, expensive. Smelled like cedar and rain. Come on. Nia followed because her brain couldn't process an alternative. They walked out of the alley together while the rain kept falling, and somewhere behind them, a man finally sucked in a ragged breath. A black sedan idled at the curb. The driver, a massive Korean man with a scar bisecting his left eyebrow, opened the rear door without being asked. "Get in," Minjae said. I can't." "You're in shock. I'm taking you somewhere safe." "I don't know you." "No." He met her eyes. "But I just killed 3 men for you, so get in the car." The casual way he said killed made her knees weak. The men in the alley weren't dead. Were they? She glanced back, but the alley was empty now except for rain and shadows. Nia got in the car. The interior smelled like leather and something else. Something metallic. The driver pulled into traffic without speaking. Minjae sat beside her, close enough that she could feel heat radiating off him, but far enough that she didn't feel trapped. "What's your name?" he asked. "Nia." "Nia what?" "Brooks." He nodded once, like he was filing that information away somewhere permanent. "I'm Minjae. Kang Minjae." The name didn't mean anything to her. Should it? "Where are we going?" "Hospital first. Make sure you're not hurt." "I'm fine." "You're shaking." She was. Hands trembling so hard she had to clench them into fists to make it stop. "I just want to go home." "Where's home?" She gave him the address. He didn't react, but something shifted in his expression. Not pity, something colder. "You can't go back there tonight." "Excuse me?" "Those men saw you. They know what you look like. If they have friends, and men like that always have friends, they'll find you. So what am I supposed to do, just disappear?" "For tonight, yes. I have work tomorrow. I have bills. I can't just—" "I'll take care of it." Nia laughed. Bitter sound. "You don't even know me." "No," Minjae agreed. "But you're my responsibility now." "I'm nobody's responsibility." He looked at her then, really looked. Dark eyes that seemed to see straight through skin and bone into all the tired, broken parts she tried to hide. "You are now." The hospital was private, expensive, the kind of place that didn't ask questions when a man in a blood-spattered shirt walked in with a traumatized woman at 2 a.m. A doctor examined Nia in a quiet room with soft lighting and doors that locked from the inside. Bruises on her wrists, minor scrapes, nothing serious. "You're lucky," the doctor said. Lucky, right. Minjae waited in this hallway. When she came out, he was on his phone, speaking rapid Korean to someone who clearly wasn't arguing back. He ended the call when he saw her. "Better? I guess." "Good. We're leaving." "Where?" "Somewhere safe." The sedan took them north out of Manhattan, across bridges and through neighborhoods that got progressively quieter and darker. Nia watched the city disappear in the rearview mirror and felt something cold settle in her chest. This was stupid, dangerous. She should demand he take her home, should jump out at the next red light, should do literally anything except sit here following a stranger into the night. But she didn't. They drove for 40 minutes, maybe more. Nia lost track of time somewhere around the 3rd bridge. Eventually, the sedan turned onto a private road lined with trees that blocked out the sky. Gates. Big ones. Iron scrollwork and cameras and men in dark suits who waved them through without hesitation. The estate sat at the end of a long driveway like something out of a movie. 3 stories. Stone and glass and security lights that made the whole place glow against the darkness. "What is this place?" Nia whispered. "Home." She looked at him. "Your home?" "Mine. My children's. And for tonight, yours." Children. He had children. That somehow made everything feel more real and more surreal at the same time. The driver opened her door. Nia climbed out on shaking legs and followed Minjae up marble steps to a front door that probably weighed more than she did. Inside was warmth, light, expensive furniture arranged with the kind of precision that suggested a professional decorator. Art on the walls, real art, not prints. Floor so polished she could see her reflection. A woman appeared from a side hallway. 50s, Korean, dressed in simple black clothing. She took one look at Nia's soaked jacket and ruined sneakers and said something in Korean that sounded like concern. Minjae responded in the same language. The woman nodded and gestured for Nia to follow. "Mrs. Yoon will show you to a guest room," Minjae said. "Get some rest. We'll talk in the morning." "I need to call work. Tell them I can't come in." "Already handled." "You don't even know where I work." He smiled. First time she'd seen it. Small, dangerous. I know everything about you, Nia Brooks. Date of birth, social security number, employment history, medical records. I know you're from Philadelphia originally. I know your mother died 6 years ago, and you came to New York because you had nothing left back home. I know you've been working at that diner for 14 months, and your manager shorts your paycheck every third week. Her blood went cold. How? I make it my business to know things, especially about people I'm protecting. I didn't ask for your protection. No, but you have it anyway. He turned toward a hallway that probably led deeper into this impossible house. Get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be complicated. He left. Just walked away like he hadn't just shattered her entire sense of privacy and safety. Mrs. Yoon touched her elbow gently, gesturing up a curved staircase. Nia followed, because what else could she do? The guest room was bigger than her entire apartment. King bed with sheets that probably cost more than her monthly rent. Private bathroom with heated floors. A closet full of women's clothing in various sizes, all with the tags still on. Nia stood in the middle of the room and tried to remember how to breathe. She should run. Should find a phone and call. Who? The police? And tell them what? That a man saved her from being assaulted and then brought her to his mansion? She sat on the edge of the bed and buried her face in her hands. Sleep came eventually, fitful and full of dreams about rain and men with empty eyes and alleys that went on forever. When she woke up, the sun was streaming through windows she didn't remember opening. The clock on the nightstand read 11:47 a.m. Nia shot upright. Work! She was supposed to be at work 6 hours ago. She grabbed her phone, dead of course, and stumbled into the hallway wearing the oversized t-shirt she'd found in the dresser. The house was silent. Too silent. Like nobody lived here at all. She found the stairs and made her way down, following the smell of coffee to a kitchen bigger than most restaurants. Min-jae sat at a marble island reading a newspaper. He'd changed into black slacks and a white dress shirt rolled up to his elbows. No blood, no signs of last night except the faint shadows under his eyes. Coffee? He gestured to a French press. I need to go home. No, you don't. My apartment, being cleaned and secured as we speak. Your landlord was convinced to install better locks. You're welcome. Nia stared at him. You can't just... I can. I did. Sit down. She didn't want to sit. Wanted to scream. Wanted to demand answers and explanations, and some kind of logic that made sense. But her legs were shaking again, so she sat. Min-jae poured coffee into a mug and slid it across the counter. Black. No cream or sugar offered. We need to talk about what happens next. Nothing happens next. I go home. You forget I exist. End of story. If only. He folded the newspaper with precise movements. Unfortunately, 3 people saw us leave that alley together last night. One of them works for a man named Viktor Kozlov, Russian, runs protection rackets in Hell's Kitchen, very interested in my business dealings. So by now Kozlov knows his men were hospitalized, knows I was involved, and knows I left with a woman. The way he said woman made her skin crawl, like she was a commodity, a thing with value. That's not my problem. It became your problem the second I put my coat on your shoulders. Min-jae's voice stayed calm, but something sharp glinted in his eyes. In my world, gestures like that have meaning, protection, ownership. Kozlov will interpret it the same way everyone else does. And what way is that? That you belong to me. Nia stood up so fast her chair scraped against the floor. I don't belong to anyone. I know that. You know that. But Kozlov doesn't know that. And neither do the dozen other organizations currently circulating your photograph through their networks. Her stomach dropped. Photograph? He pulled out his phone and turned it toward her. The screen showed a grainy image of her climbing out of his sedan outside the hospital. Her face was partially obscured but recognizable. The timestamp read 2:47 a.m. How? Kozlov has people everywhere. Hospitals, police stations, traffic cameras. He probably identified you within 3 hours of that photo being taken. So what do I do? You stay here. I can't just live in your house. It's not a request. You can't keep me prisoner. I'm keeping you alive. He stood, towering over her by almost a foot. Not threatening, just present, undeniable. Those men in the alley, They're nothing, street-level thugs who got drunk and stupid. But the people they work for, the people who now think you're my weakness, they'll tear you apart just to send me a message." Nia's hands were shaking again. She pressed them against the counter to hide it. "This is insane." "Yes. Welcome to my life." "I didn't ask for this." "I know." Something shifted in his expression, almost regret. "But I made a choice last night, and choices have consequences. So I'm a consequence now. You're a complication." The honesty stung worse than cruelty would have. Min-jae walked to the window overlooking the grounds. Gardens stretched out in perfect symmetry. She could see men in dark suits patrolling the perimeter. "I'm not a good man, Nia. I don't pretend to be. I've killed people, hurt people, done things that would make you sick if you knew the details. But I have a code, and that code says if I save someone's life, I'm responsible for keeping them alive. I don't want to be your responsibility." Too late. A door opened somewhere in the house. Small footsteps. A child's voice calling out in Korean. Min-jae's entire demeanor changed. The cold mask slipped. Something almost human took its place. "Appa!" A little girl appeared in the doorway, maybe 5 years old, wearing pajamas covered in cartoon characters. She ran straight to Min-jae, and he scooped her up without hesitation, spinning her once before settling her on his hip. "Good morning, Hana." The little girl buried her face in his neck, then peeked out at Nia with curious dark eyes. "Who's that?" "A guest. Her name is Nia." "Hi, Nia." Hana waved. Nia waved back, throat too tight to speak. Another child appeared. Older. A boy, maybe 10, with Min-jae's exact bone structure and his mother's softer features. He stopped in the doorway, taking in the scene with wary intelligence. "June," Min-jae said. "Come say hello." The boy approached slowly, shook Nia's hand with surprising formality. "Nice to meet you," he said in perfect English. "You too." He looked at his father. "Is she staying?" "For a while." Joan nodded like this happened all the time. Maybe it did. Maybe strange women showed up in their kitchen every week. "Can we show her the garden?" Hana asked. "After breakfast." Mrs. Yoon appeared with plates of food, rice, soup, banchan, arranged in perfect little dishes. The children ate with the kind of comfortable routine that spoke of normalcy. Family. Things Nia hadn't experienced in so long she'd forgotten they existed. Min-jae ate in silence, occasionally wiping Hana's mouth or reminding June to finish his vegetables. Domestic. Almost gentle. Nothing like the man who'd shattered bone in a rainy alley 12 hours ago. After breakfast, Hana dragged Nia outside by the hand. The garden was massive, stone paths winding between flower beds and sculpted hedges. A koi pond. A wooden gazebo where someone had left a forgotten book. "Do you like it here?" Hana asked. "It's beautiful. Appa says beautiful things have to be protected." The little girl frowned. "I don't know what that means." Neither did Nia, but she was starting to understand. June walked beside them, quiet and watchful. He had his father's eyes, the same ability to see too much. "Are you in trouble?" he asked suddenly. "June?" Mrs. Yoon warned from somewhere behind them. "It's okay," Nia said. She knelt down so she was eye level with the boy. "Yeah, I'm in trouble. Your dad's helping me." "He does that sometimes. Helps people." June looked toward the house where Min-jae stood in the window, phone pressed to his ear. But usually they don't stay for breakfast. The days blurred together. Nia stayed in the guest room that stopped feeling like a guest room. She ate meals with the children and tried not to think about her apartment collecting dust or her job she'd probably lost or the life she had before. Min-jae kept his distance. Professional, careful. He'd appear at dinner, play with his kids, then disappear into his study for hours. She'd hear him on the phone speaking Korean in that same calm, dangerous voice. Men came and went, serious men in expensive suits who nodded at Nia but never spoke to her. She learned not to ask questions. On the 5th day, she woke up to shouting. Male voices, loud, angry, coming from downstairs. Nia pulled on a robe and crept to the landing. Below, in the foyer, Min-jae stood facing 3 men. Russians, based on their accents. "You're making a mistake," one of them said. Heavy accent, gold chains visible beneath his collar. "I don't make mistakes." Min-jae's voice was ice. "I make choices." Kozlov wants to talk. Then Kozlov can call. He wants the girl. Silence. The kind that made the air feel heavy. The girl isn't negotiable, Min-jae said quietly. You're starting a war over some waitress? I'm ending a conversation about things that don't concern you. One of the Russians moved his hand toward his jacket. 3 of Min-jae's men materialized from nowhere, guns drawn before the Russian's fingers touched fabric. I'd rethink that, Min-jae said. The Russian slowly raised his hands. Kozlov won't forget this. Good, I'm counting on it. They left. Min-jae stood in the foyer for a long moment, shoulders tight with controlled tension. Then he looked up and saw Nia on the landing. How much did you hear? Enough. He climbed the stairs slowly, stopped 2 steps below her so they were almost eye level. I'm going to ask you something and I need you to be honest. Okay. Do you want to leave? Yes. No. She didn't know anymore. If you want to go, I'll arrange it. New city, new identity, money to start over. You'll be safe. But I can't protect you if you're not here, and Kozlov won't stop looking. So my choices are stay in your house like a prisoner or spend the rest of my life running. Essentially, yes. That's not a choice. I know. He looked tired suddenly, human. I'm sorry. This isn't the life you wanted. No, it's not. She met his eyes. But it's better than being dead in an alley. Something passed between them. Understanding, maybe. Or just 2 people trapped in a situation neither of them chose. The children like you, Min-jae said. I like them too. Hana asked Mrs. Yoon when you're coming down for breakfast. June leaves books in your room he thinks you'll enjoy. They're good kids. They need stability, normalcy, things I can't give them. And you think I can? I think you already are. He turned and walked back downstairs, leaving Nia alone with words she didn't know how to process. That night she couldn't sleep. Walked the house in darkness, trailing fingers along expensive furniture and art she'd never understand. Found herself in Min-jae's study without meaning to. He sat behind a massive desk, reading something on his computer. He looked up when she entered, but didn't seem surprised. Can't sleep? Not really. Neither can I. He gestured to the chair across from him. Sit. She did. The study smelled like leather and old paper and something sharper. Danger, maybe. Or just honesty. What are you working on? Trying to figure out how to keep you alive without starting a war I can't win. And? Still working on it. Silence settled between them. Comfortable somehow. Like they'd known each other longer than 5 days. Why did you help me? Nia asked suddenly. In the alley. You didn't know me. Didn't owe me anything. Min-jae leaned back in his chair. You want the truth? Please. Because you reminded me of my wife. Nia's breath caught. She died 3 years ago. Cancer. Fought it for 2 years before she finally ran out of fight. His voice stayed level, but something broken lived behind it. She was small like you, stubborn like you. Had the same look in her eyes like she was daring the world to break her. I'm sorry. Don't be. She wouldn't want pity. He looked at her fully. That night in the alley, watching those men close in on you, I saw her. Different face, different circumstances, but the same fear, the same certainty that nobody was coming to help. But you came. Yeah, I came. He smiled without humor. And now we're both stuck with the consequences. Nia should have been terrified. Should have run screaming from this house and this man and this whole impossible situation. But sitting across from him in the quiet darkness, she felt something else. Safety. For the first time in longer than she could remember, she felt safe. I need to tell you something, she said before she could stop herself. All right. I can't have children. The words fell heavy between them. Words she'd carried like stones for so long they'd become part of her weight. Min-jae didn't react. Okay. That's it? Just okay? What do you want me to say? I don't know. Most people say they're sorry, or they try to fix it, or they leave. I'm not most people. No, you're really not. She studied him. Doesn't it bother you? Why would it bother me? Because I'm broken, incomplete. Pick your favorite word. You're neither of those things. I can't give you... I have children, Minjae said quietly. Two beautiful, complicated children who need stability more than they need a sibling. And I need... He stopped, started again. I need someone who understands that family isn't just about blood. Nia's throat burned. You don't even know me. No, but I'm starting to. The moment stretched, fragile, dangerous in ways that had nothing to do with Russians or guns or territory wars. Then Minjae's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his expression shuddered. We have a problem. What kind of problem? He turned the phone toward her. A news article. Her photograph, a different one this time, higher quality, beneath a headline that made her stomach drop. Korean mafia boss Kang Min-ja, spotted with mysterious woman who is Nia Brooks. They know my name. They know everything. Minjae was already standing, moving toward the door. Mrs. Yoon, get the children to the safe room, now. Nia followed him into the hallway. What's happening? If Kozlov was smart, he just sold your information to every organization looking for leverage against me. Which means by morning, half the criminal underworld will know exactly who you are and where you work and how to hurt me through you. But I'm already here. I'm already protected. You are. He looked at her with something that might have been regret. But they don't know that yet. And first moves in situations like this tend to be loud. Somewhere in the house, an alarm started screaming. The alarm cut through the house like a blade through bone. Nia froze in the hallway while Minjae moved with practiced efficiency, barking orders in Korean to men who materialized from rooms she didn't know existed. 3 seconds. Maybe 5. The entire estate transformed from home to fortress. Mrs. Yoon appeared at the top of the stairs with Hana in her arms and June gripping her hand. The little girl was crying, silent tears streaming down her face while her small body shook. Appa, she whimpered. Minjae took the stairs 3 at a time. He pulled his daughter from Mrs. Yoon's arms and pressed her face against his shoulder. It's okay, baby. Just a drill. Remember? Like we practiced. But his eyes told a different story. Dark, hard. The kind of cold calculation that came from experience with violence. June didn't cry. Just stood there watching his father with the same empty expression Minjae wore. 10 years old and already learning how to bury fear beneath stone. Take them down, Minjae told Mrs. Yoon. Then he looked at Nia. You too. What's happening? Move. Now. She moved. Followed Mrs. Yoon and the children down a hallway that ended at what looked like a linen closet. Mrs. Yoon pressed her palm against a panel hidden behind towels, and the entire back wall slid open with a pneumatic hiss. Stairs, concrete, leading down into darkness lit by emergency strips that cast everything in sickly red. Hana was sobbing now, full body shaking that made her sound like she couldn't breathe. Nia reached out instinctively, and the little girl latched onto her hand with desperate strength. It's okay, Nia whispered. I've got you. The safe room was bigger than Nia expected. 20 feet square, reinforced walls, monitors showing security camera feeds from every angle of the property, supplies stacked in military precision, water, food, medical supplies, weapons locked behind glass. Jones sat in the corner with his knees pulled to his chest, staring at nothing. Mrs. Yoon checked the monitors with shaking hands while muttering something under her breath that sounded like prayers. Nia sat on the floor with Hana curled in her lap, the little girl's face pressed against her collarbone. She could feel the child's heartbeat, too fast, rabbit fast. Has this happened before? Nia asked quietly. Mrs. Yoon looked at her with eyes that had seen too much. Twice? Once when June was 6, once when Hana was 3. What happened? People died. The matter-of-fact way she said it made Nia's stomach turn. On the monitors, she watched Minjae's men take positions across the estate, weapons drawn, moving in coordinated patterns that spoke of training and repetition. This wasn't panic. This was procedure. Minjae appeared on one of the screens standing in the foyer with his phone pressed to his ear. Even through the grainy footage, she could see the tension in his shoulders. Minutes crawled past. 5, 10, 15. Hana's breathing slowed. Her grip loosened. She fell into the exhausted sleep of children who've learned to find rest in chaos. They're not coming, June said suddenly. Nia looked at him. How do you know? Because if they were, they'd be here already. He pointed at one of the monitors showing the front gate. That's the weak point. Always has been. If someone wanted in, they'd hit it first. Fast and loud. You're 10. I'm my father's son. He said it without pride or shame, just fact. I know how this works. Mrs. Yoon made a sound, somewhere between disapproval and resignation. The monitor showing Min Jae flickered. He was moving now, heading toward the hidden entrance to the safe room. 2 minutes later, the door opened and he stepped inside, still on the phone. I don't care what Kozlov says. I want eyes on every property he owns. If he sneezes, I want to know about it. He ended the call and looked at his children. Everyone okay? June nodded. Hana slept on. Min Jae's eyes found Nia holding his daughter. Something shifted in his expression, softened, just for a second, before the mask slid back into place. False alarm, he said. Security picked up movement on the perimeter. Turned out to be a deer. A deer doesn't trigger that kind of response, Nia said. No, it doesn't. He crouched beside her, touched Hana's hair with surprising gentleness. But we can't afford to take chances. This is what you meant when you said your world was dangerous. This is Tuesday. He stood, wincing slightly. A hand went to his ribs. Thursday's usually worse. Mrs. Yoon was already ushering June toward the stairs. The boy went without protest, used to being moved like a chess piece. Min Jae lifted Hana from Nia's lap with practiced ease. The little girl stirred, made a soft sound, then settled against his shoulder without waking. Come on, he said to Nia. Let's get her back to bed. They climbed the stairs in silence. The house felt different now, hollowed out, like someone had scraped away the illusion of safety and left only the truth beneath. Min Jae carried Hana to a bedroom decorated in soft pinks and purples. Unicorn posters, stuffed animals, normal things for a normal child living an abnormal life. He laid her down gently, pulled a blanket over her small body, kissed her forehead. Sleep tight, baby girl. In the hallway, away from sleeping children, Min Jae leaned against the wall and closed his eyes. Just for a moment, long enough for Nia to see the cracks in his armor. Are you hurt? She asked. Old injury. Acts up when I move wrong. Let me see. It's fine. Min Jae. He looked at her, really looked, then slowly unbuttoned his shirt. A scar bisected his left side. Thick, ugly. The kind that came from a blade designed to kill. 2 years ago, he said, rival organization thought they could send a message by putting a knife between my ribs. They were wrong. Nia reached out before she could stop herself, touched the raised tissue with careful fingers. Min Jae inhaled sharply, but didn't pull away. Does it still hurt? Every day? You should see a doctor. I have. They say it'll never fully heal. He caught her wrist, gently, his fingers warm against her pulse point. Some things don't. The air between them felt charged, heavy with words neither of them knew how to say. Then Min Jae's phone buzzed. The moment shattered. He pulled away, buttoning his shirt with efficient movements while reading whatever message just destroyed the fragile intimacy they'd built. I have to go. Where? Kozlov agreed to meet, neutral ground. I need to make sure he understands you're off limits. And if he doesn't? Then tomorrow's going to be messy. He was gone before she could respond. Just walked away like they hadn't shared something real in that hallway. Nia stood there for a long time, hand still warm from where he'd held her wrist, trying to understand what was happening to her life. The next morning arrived gray and cold. Nia woke to voices arguing in Korean somewhere below her window. She pulled on clothes and went downstairs to find Min Jae in the kitchen with 3 men she'd never seen before. They all stopped talking when she entered. I'll call you back, Min Jae said. The men left without acknowledging her. Coffee? He asked, like nothing was wrong. Who were they? Associates. You mean employees? I mean associates. He poured 2 mugs, slid one across the counter. Drink, we need to talk. About? Kozlov wants proof you're here voluntarily. Thinks I'm holding you hostage. That's ridiculous. Is it? Min Jae met her eyes. You haven't left the estate in 6 days. You don't have your phone. You can't contact anyone. From an outside perspective, it looks exactly like a hostage situation. But I'm not. She stopped. Am I? That's what we need to figure out. I don't understand. If you're here because you're afraid of what happens if you leave, that's one thing. If you're here because you want to be, that's something else entirely. He set down his coffee. So, which is it? Nia opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. I don't know, she admitted. Then we have a problem. Why? What difference does it make? Because if you're here against your will, I'm committing a crime. If you're here voluntarily, I'm offering protection. The distinction matters. To who? To everyone. He leaned against the counter. Federal agents have been asking questions about you, about us. They think I'm trafficking women. Kozlov's spreading rumors that I kidnapped you to start a war. My own people are wondering why I'm risking everything for a woman I barely know. So what do you want me to do? Make a choice. Stay or go. But make it real. Make it something you can defend if someone puts you in front of a judge and asks why you're living in a mobster's house. The word mobster hung in the air like smoke. Is that what you are? Nia asked quietly. Yes. No hesitation, no justification, just honesty sharp enough to draw blood. You kill people. Yes. You hurt people. Yes. You're everything I should run from. Yes. Then why don't I want to? Minjae's expression shifted. Something raw and unguarded flickered across his features before he locked it down. I don't know, he said, but I need you to figure it out. Because if you stay, it gets harder, it gets complicated, it gets… He stopped. Started again. It gets real. And if I go, then I set you up somewhere safe. New name, new life. You never see me or my children again. The mention of June and Hana hit harder than expected. They'd be upset, Nia said. They'd survive. They always do. That's not the same as being okay. No, it's not. He pushed away from the counter. Think about it. I need an answer by tonight. He left. Again. Always leaving her alone with impossible decisions. Nia spent the morning in the garden with Hana. The little girl chattered about school and friends and the elaborate fantasy world she'd constructed with her stuffed animals. Normal things, innocent things. Things that had nothing to do with alarms and safe rooms and fathers who killed people. Do you like my appa? Hana asked suddenly. Nia's breath caught. What? Do you like him? As a person? Mrs. Yoon says you look at him funny. I don't… How does someone look at someone funny? Like this. Hana made an exaggerated face, wide eyes, soft smile. Like you're happy, but also scared. I'm not scared of your father. But you're happy when he's around? Nia didn't have an answer that made sense. It's okay. Hana patted her hand. June says everyone who meets Appa gets confused. Because he's scary but also nice. It's complicated. She sounded out the word carefully. That's what Mrs. Yoon always says. Everything with Appa is complicated. Your brother's pretty smart. He's annoying, but yes. Hana picked a flower and handed it to Nia. I think you should stay. We don't get many visitors, and the ones we do get are boring. They only talk about money and business and things that make Appa's face go hard. Hard? Like this. She scrunched up her features into a miniature version of Minjae's cold mask. Like he forgot how to smile. Does he forget a lot? Since Alma died, Hana's voice went quiet. Before that he smiled all the time after… She shrugged. He tries. But it's not the same. Nia's chest tightened. She pulled the little girl into a hug and felt small arms wrap around her waist with desperate strength. I miss her, Hana whispered. Sometimes I can't remember what she looked like. That scares me. I know, baby, I know. They sat in the grass for a long time while clouds moved overhead, and somewhere in the house, Minjae made decisions that would shape all their lives. That afternoon, a woman arrived. Nia heard her before she saw her. A voice like cut glass echoing through the foyer, sharp, angry, speaking English with a faint Korean accent. Where is she? Minjae's response was too quiet to hear. Don't lie to me. I know she's here. Everyone knows she's here. Nia moved to the landing. Below, in the foyer, a woman stood facing Minjae. Early 30s, stunning, dressed in designer clothes that probably cost more than Nia made in a year. Her hair fell in perfect waves and her makeup looked professionally applied. She also looked furious. Ji-won, Min-jae said calmly, you need to leave. I need to leave? Are you serious? The woman, Ji-won, laughed, bitter sound. I've known you for 15 years. I was at your wedding. I held your children when they were born. And now you're throwing me out for some American waitress? I'm not throwing you out. I'm asking you to leave before you say something we'll both regret. Too late. Ji-won's eyes found Nia on the landing. There she is, the flavor of the month. Nia descended the stairs slowly. Every instinct screamed at her to run, but she kept moving until she stood beside Min-jae. I'm Nia. I know who you are. Everyone knows who you are. Ji-won circled them like a predator. Let me guess. He saved you from something, brought you here, made you feel special, safe, protected. Ji-won, Min-jae warned. And you fell for it, because who wouldn't? The dangerous man with the tragic past and the beautiful children. It's very compelling. She looked at Min-jae. How long until you get bored of this one? 2 months? 3? That's enough. Is it? Because I've been waiting 3 years for you to notice I exist. 3 years of being your friend, your confidant, the person who held your hand at your wife's funeral. But I'm not enough. I'm never enough. Her voice cracked. What does she have that I don't? Ji-won, answer me. Min-jae's expression was stone. She's not you. The words hit like a physical blow. Ji-won staggered back a step, face crumpling. I loved you, she whispered. I know, and I'm sorry. Sorry, she laughed. No humor in it. You're sorry. That's all I get. After everything. I never promised you anything. You let me hope. That's worse. She turned and left, heels clicking against marble. The front door slammed hard enough to shake the walls. Silence crashed down like debris. That was fun, Nia said finally. She'll be back. Is she dangerous? Only to herself. Min-jae rubbed his face. She's been in love with me since before my wife died. I tried to let her down gently. Apparently I failed. She seems pretty angry. She'll get over it. Will she? He looked at Nia, really looked. Honestly? I don't know. Ji-won's family runs half the Korean businesses in New York. She's connected, influential, and now she's hurt. That's a dangerous combination. Should I be worried? Not yet, but stay away from her if she comes back. Is that an order? It's a suggestion, strongly worded. Something about the way he said it made Nia laugh, surprised herself with the sound. Min-jae smiled. Small thing, barely there, but real. You should do that more, Nia said. Do what? Smile. Hana says you forgot how. Hana talks too much. She's 5. That's their job. Yeah. He looked toward the stairs where his daughter had disappeared earlier. She's a lot like her mother. My wife, I mean. She could talk for hours about nothing and somehow make it fascinating. How long were you married? 8 years. Together for 10. His voice went distant. Met her in college. She was studying music. I was studying business and how to disappoint my father. We were terrible for each other in the best way. What was her name? Sujin. The way he said it, soft and careful, made Nia's chest ache. She'd hate what I've become, what I've built here. She wanted normal, safe, a house in the suburbs with a boring yard and boring neighbors. But you couldn't give her that. No, my father's empire needed an heir, and I was the only son. So I became what he needed, and Sujin became collateral damage. That's not fair to yourself, isn't it? He met her eyes. She died of cancer. But the stress of this life, the violence, the fear, the constant moving, it ate away at her for years before the cancer finished the job. So yeah, I killed her. Just took longer than a bullet would have. Min-jae, don't. He stepped back. Don't make excuses for me. Don't tell me it wasn't my fault, because it was, and I carry that every day. Is that why you saved me? Guilt? Maybe. Probably. He laughed without humor. Or maybe I'm just selfish. Maybe I saw a chance to be someone's hero instead of their monster, and I took it without thinking about the consequences. And now? Now we're both stuck. You can't leave without risk. I can't let you leave without guilt. It's very poetic. Sujin would have appreciated the irony. Nia wanted to touch him, wanted to close the distance and offer comfort, but something in his posture screamed don't, so she didn't. That night, Nia found June in the library. The boy sat in a leather chair too big for him, reading a book about World War II. He looked up when she entered. "Can't sleep?" he asked. "Something like that. You?" "I don't sleep much." He marked his place and set the book aside. "Too noisy inside my head." "I know that feeling." "Do you?" June studied her with unsettling intelligence. "Or are you just saying that to make me feel better?" "I really know that feeling." "Good. I hate it when adults lie to make kids comfortable. It's patronizing." Nia laughed. "You sound like you're 30. I feel like I'm 30. He gestured to the chair beside him. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Are you going to leave?" The question hit harder than expected. "I don't know." "That's honest. I appreciate that." He folded his hands in his lap. Adult gesture on a child's body. "Hana really likes you. She told me you give the best hugs. That's important to her." "Hugs? What about you?" "I don't like hugs, but I like that you don't treat me like I'm stupid." "You're not stupid." "I know, but most adults assume I am because I'm 10. You don't. Neither does Dad. That's rare." "Your dad seems to respect you a lot." "He respects what I represent. The heir. The next generation of Kang family power." June's voice went flat. "Sometimes I wonder if he actually sees me or just the role I'll play." "I think he sees you." "Maybe." The boy looked at his book. "When Mom was alive, things were different. He laughed more, played with us. Now he's always working, always planning, always thinking 3 moves ahead." "That sounds exhausting." "It is, for him and for us." June met her eyes. "If you stay, things will get worse before they get better. Jiwon won't let this go. Kozlov won't back down. And my father's enemies will use you like a weapon." "How do you know about all that?" "I listen. Adults forget kids have ears." He picked up his book again. "But if you leave, Hana will cry for weeks, and Dad will go back to being the man he was before you showed up. Empty, dangerous, lost." "That's a lot of pressure to put on someone." "I know, but you asked if I thought you should stay. That's my answer. Not because it's easy, because it matters." Nia left him there reading about wars fought long before he was born. Wisdom in a 10-year-old body. Trauma disguised as maturity. She walked the grounds that night. Security nodded at her but didn't interfere. She'd become familiar enough they no longer questioned her presence. The garden looked different in moonlight, softer, almost peaceful, like the violence and danger couldn't reach it here. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Nia spun. Minjae stood in the shadows, hands in his pockets, watching her with unreadable eyes. "I thought you were in meetings." "I was. They ended." He moved closer. "Kozlov agreed to back off. For now. He'll spread the word you're under my protection. That should buy us time." "How much time?" "Depends. Days, weeks, until someone decides the risk is worth it. And then? Then we deal with it." He stopped beside her, close enough to touch. "Have you made a decision about staying?" "Yes." "And?" Nia looked at him, really looked, saw the dangerous man everyone feared, saw the father who burned breakfast and kissed his daughter's forehead, saw the widower carrying grief like armor, saw all of it at once and knew her answer with terrifying clarity. "I want to stay." "Why?" "Because Hana gives me flowers. Because June leaves books in my room. Because Mrs. Yoon taught me how to make kimchi yesterday, and it felt like belonging." She took a breath. "Because when I'm here, I don't feel invisible anymore." "Nia, I'm not done." Her voice shook, but she kept going. "I spent years believing I was broken, incomplete, wrong. Every relationship ended the same way: disappointment, pity, abandonment. I was invisible even when people looked right at me. You're not invisible." "I know. That's the point. When you look at me, you see me. Not what I can't give you, not what I lack, just me. And that scares me more than anything else in this whole situation." Minjae was quiet for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was rough. "I can't promise this ends well." "I know." "I can't promise you'll be safe." "I know that too." "I can't even promise I won't get you killed." "Minjae." She touched his arm. felt muscle tense beneath fabric. I'm not asking for promises. I'm asking to stay. He looked at where her hand rested on his arm, then at her face, then back at her hand like he was trying to solve an equation that didn't have an answer. Okay, he said finally. Okay? You can stay. Relief and terror hit simultaneously. Just like that. Just like that. He covered her hand with his. But we do this right. Legal guardianship papers. Documentation showing you're here voluntarily. Protection orders against Kozlov and anyone else who tries to use you. I'm not giving them ammunition. When? Tomorrow. I have lawyers who specialize in making messy situations look clean. He smiled. Sad thing. Welcome to the family, Nia Brooks, such as it is. She should have felt happy, relieved, something positive. Instead, she felt like she just signed away the last piece of her old life and stepped into something she didn't fully understand. Min-jae must have seen it on her face because his expression softened. Second thoughts? 10th thoughts. Maybe 20th. That's normal. Is it? I have no idea, but it sounds good. He squeezed her hand once, then let go. Get some rest. Tomorrow's going to be long. He walked away. Again. Always walking away before moments could solidify into something real. Nia stood in the garden until the cold drove her inside. She climbed the stairs to her room, no longer a guest room, she realized, just her room, and lay in the dark thinking about choices and consequences and roads you can't untake. Somewhere in the house, Hana slept surrounded by unicorns. June read about wars. Mrs. Yoon probably prayed. Min-jae sat in his study making calls to people who lived in shadows. And Nia? Nia lay awake wondering if she just made the best decision of her life or signed her own death warrant. The next morning brought lawyers, 3 of them, serious men in expensive suits who made Nia sign papers she barely understood while Min-jae explained each document with brutal honesty. This one establishes you as a resident of the estate. This one creates a financial trust in your name. This one is a protection order. This one, he paused. This one is a will. If something happens to me, you become guardian of June and Hana. Nia's pen froze. What? It's precautionary. You can't. I barely know them. You know them better than anyone outside this house. And they trust you. That's more important than time. He slid the paper closer. I need to know they'll be safe, protected, loved. If I can't do it, you're the only person I trust to try. Min-jae, please. The way he said it, raw and desperate, made her hand move before her brain caught up. She signed, watched her name appear in permanent ink beside his. The lawyers left with briefcases full of paperwork that made fiction into fact. Nia Brooks was now officially a resident of the Kang estate. Protected, documented, real. How do you feel? Min-jae asked when they were alone. Terrified. Good. That means you understand what just happened. Do I? You just became family. In my world, that's a bond enforced with blood. There's no casual exit, no trial period. You're in. He looked at her steadily. If you want out later, you'll have to fight me for it. Is that a threat? It's a promise. They stood in his study surrounded by books and expensive furniture and the weight of decisions that couldn't be undone. Then Hana burst through the door. Mrs. Yoon says we're having a celebration because Nia's staying forever. The little girl launched herself at Nia with complete faith she'd be caught. Nia caught her, held her tight while small arms wrapped around her neck. Forever is a long time, Nia said softly. I know. Hana pulled back just enough to look at her seriously. That's how long I want you to stay. Over the child's head, Nia met Min-jae's eyes. He was smiling, real smile, full and unguarded and almost happy. And Nia realized with terrible certainty that she'd do anything to keep seeing that smile, even if it killed her. The celebration was small. Mrs. Yoon made Nia's favorite foods, how she knew Nia had no idea. June gave her a book from his personal collection with a note inside that read, Welcome home in careful handwriting. Hana drew a picture of the whole family holding hands, everyone smiling beneath a rainbow that took up half the page. Min-jae gave her a key to the estate. You're not a prisoner, he said quietly. You can leave whenever you want. Come back whenever you want. This is your home now. Act like it. Nia held the key and felt its weight. Not metal. Responsibility. That night she lay in bed, her bed, and listened to the house settle around her. Distant voices, footsteps, the hum of security systems, sounds of life happening in rooms she'd become part of. She thought about the alley, the rain. 3 men with cruel laughter. She thought about invisibility, exhaustion, years of believing she wasn't enough. She thought about Min Jae's hands gentle on his daughter's hair, June's 2 old eyes, Mrs. Yoon's quiet kindness. She thought about belonging. And somewhere in the dark, Nia Brooks admitted the truth she'd been avoiding since the moment Min Jae draped his coat over her shoulders. She was falling in love with this broken, dangerous family, and there was no way back from that. 2 days later, the first real test came. Nia was in the garden with Hana when security locked down without warning. No alarm, no announcement. Just sudden movement as armed men materialized and formed a perimeter. Min Jae appeared in the doorway. "Inside! Now!" His voice had that tone, the one that meant don't argue, don't question, just move. Nia scooped Hana into her arms and ran. The little girl didn't cry this time, just pressed her face into Nia's shoulder and held on. Inside, Mrs. Yoon was already guiding June toward the hidden entrance. The boy's face was pale but calm. He'd done this before. They descended into the safe room. Again, the door sealed behind them with that final hiss that meant they were locked in until someone from outside let them out. On the monitors, Nia watched 3 black SUVs pull up to the front gate. Men climbed out. 10, maybe 12. All armed, all moving with military precision. "Who are they?" she whispered. "Federal," Mrs. Yoon said. "FBI, DEA, maybe both." "What do they want?" "Same thing they always want. Evidence that doesn't exist." Min Jae appeared on screen, walking out to meet them. Hands visible, posture casual, playing the role of innocent businessman interrupted during his day. The lead agent, a white woman in a dark suit, held up a badge. Her mouth moved. Min Jae responded. They talked for several minutes while his men stayed back and her team stayed alert. Then she handed him papers. Search warrant, probably. Min Jae read it carefully, nodded, gestured toward the house in invitation. "They're coming inside," June said quietly. "Will they find anything?" Nia asked. "No, Dad's too smart for that." The boy watched his father on screen with something that looked like pride mixed with sadness. Everything that matters is hidden, or destroyed, or never existed in the first place. For 3 hours they sat in the safe room while federal agents tore through the estate. Nia watched on monitors as strangers rifled through her room, Hana's toys, Min Jae's study, every corner of the home that had just started feeling like hers. Hana fell asleep eventually, exhausted by fear she couldn't express. Nia held her and tried not to think about what would happen if the agents found something. Finally, they left, climbed back into their SUVs and drove away empty-handed. The safe room door opened. Min Jae stood in the entrance looking tired but unharmed. "It's over," he said. "For now," June added. "For now," Min Jae agreed. They climbed the stairs back into a house that felt violated, touched by strangers, searched and measured and judged. Mrs. Yoon immediately started cleaning, putting things back in place, erasing the evidence of invasion. Nia carried sleeping Hana to her room and tucked her in. The little girl stirred, opened her eyes just enough to whisper, "Don't leave." "I won't. I promise." She sat beside the bed until Hana's breathing deepened into real sleep. Then she went looking for Min Jae. She found him on the back terrace, standing in the cold with a glass of whiskey he wasn't drinking. "Are you okay?" she asked. "They didn't find anything." "That's not what I asked." He looked at her. "No, I'm not okay. I just watched federal agents search my daughter's bedroom while she hid in a panic room. I'm the opposite of okay." "Min Jae, this is what I meant when I said it gets real." He set down the glass. "They'll be back. They always come back. And one day they'll find something or someone will talk or I'll make a mistake and it'll all come crashing down." "Then why do you keep doing it?" "Because it's all I know. My father built this empire and I inherited it. The business, the territory, the enemies, all of it. I can't just walk away." "Can't or won't?" "Does it matter?" "Maybe." He turned to face her fully. You want me to say I'll give it all up? Become some ordinary person with an ordinary life? That's not possible. Too many people depend on me, too many families, too many lives caught up in what I've built. I'm not asking you to give it up. I'm asking if you even want to. The question hung between them. I want my children to be safe, Min-jae said finally. I want them to sleep without nightmares. I want them to grow up without learning how to hide in panic rooms. I want... He stopped. I want things I can't have. What about what you can have? Like what? Nia moved closer, stood right in front of him so he had to see her. Like this, right now. Someone who doesn't want anything from you except honesty. You don't know what you're asking for. Then tell me. I'm broken, Nia. I've done things that would make you sick, hurt people, killed people, destroyed lives because it served my purpose. I'm not some misunderstood anti-hero waiting for redemption. I'm exactly what everyone says I am. Okay? He blinked. Okay? Yeah, okay. You're broken. So am I. You've hurt people. I've abandoned people. You're dangerous. I'm terrified. We're both disasters pretending to be functional. So what? So you should run. While you still can. I already told you I'm staying. Even knowing what I am, especially knowing what you are. She touched his face, palm against his jaw, felt muscle jump beneath her fingers. Because I've seen you with your children. I've seen you burn breakfast and kiss foreheads and read bedtime stories. I've seen you be human, and that matters more than all the rest. Min-jae closed his eyes, leaned into her touch like a man dying of thirst. This is a mistake, he whispered. Probably. You're going to regret this. Maybe. I don't deserve you. Definitely. She smiled. But you're stuck with me anyway. When he kissed her, it felt like falling and flying simultaneously. His hands in her hair, her fingers clutching his shirt, desperate and careful and real. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Min-jae rested his forehead against hers. We can't go back from this, he said. I know. Everything changes now. I know that too. Good. He kissed her again, softer this time. Because I'm not letting you go. And Nia realized she'd just crossed the point of no return. No going back. No escape route. Just forward into whatever came next, even if it destroyed them both. The kiss changed everything and nothing simultaneously. Min-jae pulled back first, breathing hard, eyes searching Nia's face like he was looking for regret. She didn't give him any, just stood there with her fingers still twisted in his shirt, heart slamming against her ribs, feeling more alive than she had in years. We should talk about this, he said. Or we could not. Nia, I don't want to analyze it. I don't want to list all the reasons it's a bad idea. I just want... She stopped, started again. I want to feel something other than afraid. His jaw tightened. I'm not a cure for fear. I know, but you're here, and right now, that's enough. He studied her for a long moment. Then he took her hand and led her inside without another word. They walked through the dark house like thieves stealing moments. Past Hana's room where soft breathing confirmed sleep. Past Jun's door, closed and silent. Past Mrs. Yoon's quarters. Up another flight of stairs Nia hadn't explored yet. Min-jae's bedroom was simpler than expected. Large bed, minimal furniture, windows overlooking the grounds. Nothing excessive, nothing that screamed wealth or power, just space where a man tried to rest between wars. He closed the door, locked it. The sound felt final. Last chance, he said quietly. Walk away now, and we pretend this didn't happen. I don't want to walk away. You should. Probably. She moved closer. But I'm not very good at doing what I should. This time when they kissed, it wasn't desperate. It was deliberate, slow, like they were learning a language neither of them spoke fluently yet. His hands mapped her body with careful precision. Her fingers found scars she'd never seen, stories written in damaged flesh. They fell into bed together, and for a few hours the world outside stopped existing. No Kozlov, no federal agents, no danger, just skin and breath and the terrifying intimacy of being seen completely. Afterward, Nia lay with her head on Min-jae's chest, listening to his heartbeat slow from storm to steady rhythm. His fingers traced patterns on her shoulder. Absent. Soothing. This complicates things, he said finally. Everything about us is already complicated. More complicated. He shifted so he could see her face. My enemies will use this. Us. They'll see it as weakness, leverage. Let them. Nia, I'm serious. Let them think whatever they want. We'll deal with it. You say that now, but when it gets ugly, then it gets ugly. I'm not going anywhere. She propped herself up on one elbow. You need to understand something. I spent years letting other people's opinions dictate my worth. I'm done with that. If being with you makes me a target, fine. I'd rather be a target who matters than invisible and safe. Something shifted in his expression. Softened. You're braver than you think. Or stupider. Maybe both. He pulled her close. Get some sleep. Morning comes fast. She wanted to stay awake. Wanted to memorize this moment before reality crashed back in. But exhaustion won. She drifted off, wrapped in expensive sheets that smelled like cedar and danger, Min Jae's breathing steady beneath her ear. She woke alone. Gray dawn light filtered through windows. The space beside her was cold. Min Jae had been gone for hours. Nia dressed in yesterday's clothes and went looking. Found him in his study with 3 phones and a laptop, moving between calls in Korean and English with the controlled fury of someone managing a crisis. I don't care what it costs. I want eyes on every property Jiwon owns, every business, every associate. He saw Nia in the doorway and his expression flickered. I'll call you back. What's wrong? Jiwon made a move. She went to the federal prosecutor this morning, told them I'm holding you against your will. Nia's stomach dropped. What? She gave them copies of our background, your financial records, employment history, built a narrative that I targeted you because you were vulnerable. He stood, pacing like a caged animal. She's smart. I'll give her that. She didn't lie. Just arranged the truth into something that looks like human trafficking. But we have papers, documentation, which she's claiming I coerced you into signing. The prosecutor is opening an investigation. They'll want to interview you, probably today. So I'll tell them the truth. Will you? He stopped moving. Looked at her with something dark and calculating. Because the truth is you were attacked. I intervened, brought you to my home. Within a week, you were signing legal documents tying you to me and my children. From an outside perspective, it looks exactly like what Jiwon's describing. But it's not, isn't it? His voice went cold. You said it yourself. You don't know if you're here because you want to be or because you're afraid to leave. That ambiguity is going to destroy us. Min Jae? The federal prosecutor is Sandra Chen. She's been trying to build a case against me for 3 years. This is the opening she's been waiting for. She'll tear you apart on the stand, make you question every choice you made. And if you hesitate, if you show even a second of doubt, she'll use it to bury me. Nia felt cold spread through her chest. What are you saying? I'm saying we need to be ready. You need to be ready. Because this stops being about us and starts being about survival. Before she could respond, Mrs. Yoon appeared in the doorway. Her face was pale. Federal agents at the gate, they have a warrant for her. She pointed at Nia. Min Jae's entire demeanor changed. The cold mask slammed into place. Get Jun and Hana to the safe room, now. He looked at Nia. You need to go with them. What? No, if they want to talk to me, I'll talk to them. Not without a lawyer present, not in my home, not on their terms. He was already moving, pulling out his phone. I'm calling my legal team. They'll coordinate surrender at a neutral location with proper representation. Surrender? I didn't do anything wrong. That doesn't matter. They have a warrant. You're coming with me or you're going with them. Those are the only options. The doorbell rang, sharp, insistent. Min Jae's men appeared from nowhere, 6 of them, armed, positioned between the study and the front door. Stand down, Min Jae ordered. Nobody does anything stupid. He walked to the front door with Nia behind him, opened it to reveal the same female FBI agent from the previous search. She had 3 more agents with her, and a piece of paper that meant Nia's life was about to get worse. Kang Min Jae. The agent's voice was professional, detached. We have a warrant for the arrest of Nia Brooks on suspicion of providing false statements to federal investigators. She hasn't spoken to any investigators, Min Jae said calmly. She signed documents claiming voluntary residency here. We have reason to believe those statements were made under duress. That makes them false statements. That's thin and you know it. Take it up with the prosecutor. The agent looked past him at Nia. Ms. Brooks, you need to come with us. Nia's hands were shaking. She shoved them in her pockets. Am I under arrest? Not yet, but we need you to answer questions. If you cooperate, this can be simple. Nothing about this is simple, Minjae said. She's invoking her right to counsel. Any questions go through her lawyer. That's her choice to make, not yours. The agent's implication was clear. Even here, even now, they were painting him as controlling, manipulative. Nia stepped forward. I'll go with you. Nia, it's fine. I didn't do anything wrong. I'll answer their questions and this will be over. Minjae grabbed her arm, not hard, but firm enough to stop her. Don't be stupid. I'm not. I'm being honest. Honesty doesn't matter if they've already decided what the truth is. His eyes were desperate behind the cold mask. Please, let me handle this. You can't handle everything. She pulled free gently. I'll be okay. She walked out before he could stop her. Down the marble steps she'd climbed a dozen times, into a federal sedan that smelled like coffee and bureaucracy. The last thing she saw was Minjae standing in the doorway, fists clenched at his sides, watching her disappear with an expression that looked like watching someone die. The FBI field office was in Lower Manhattan. Gray building, fluorescent lights, interview rooms designed to make people confess to things they didn't do just to escape the suffocating boredom. They left Nia alone in one for 40 minutes. Classic tactic. Let the suspect's imagination do the interrogation before asking a single question. When the door finally opened, two people entered. The female agent from the estate, Agent Parker, according to her credentials, and a woman in an expensive suit who introduced herself as Assistant U.S. Attorney Sandra Chen. Thank you for coming in, Ms. Brooks. Chen's smile was professional, predatory. I know this must be confusing. Not really. You think Minjae kidnapped me. He didn't. We think it's more complicated than that. Chen sat across from her. Can you tell me how you met Mr. Kang? Nia told the story, the alley, the attack, Minjae's intervention, everything exactly as it happened. Chen listened without interrupting, took notes on a legal pad with precise handwriting. And then he brought you to his home. Yes. Did he give you a choice? He said I couldn't go back to my apartment, that it wasn't safe. But did he give you a choice? I chose to get in the car. After watching him hospitalize 3 men, while you were in shock, traumatized, vulnerable, Chen leaned forward. That doesn't sound like a choice. That sounds like coercion disguised as rescue. He saved my life. Maybe. Or maybe he created a situation where you felt dependent on him. That's how trafficking works, Ms. Brooks. The victim doesn't realize they're a victim until it's too late. Anger flared hot in Nia's chest. I'm not a victim. Then why haven't you left? Because I don't want to. Or because you're afraid to. Chen pulled out a folder, started laying photographs on the table. Nia's apartment, her workplace, the alley where it all started. You were living paycheck to paycheck, no family, no support system. Then a powerful man enters your life and offers protection, shelter, financial security. Of course you stayed. Anyone would have. That's not why I stayed. Then why? Nia opened her mouth, closed it. How could she explain something she barely understood herself? That she stayed because Hana's laugh felt like sunshine. Because June's quiet intelligence reminded her what it meant to be seen. Because Minjae looked at her like she mattered. Chen saw the hesitation, pounced on it like blood in water. You can't articulate why you stayed because there isn't a good reason. You stayed because he manipulated you into believing you had nowhere else to go. That's textbook coercion. You're twisting everything. I'm stating facts. You were assaulted. A known criminal intervened. Within days, you were living in his home, signing legal documents, becoming legally responsible for his children. Does any of that sound voluntary to you? Yes, because I chose it. Under duress. Under clarity. Nia leaned forward, matching Chen's intensity. For the first time in years, I felt like I mattered. Not because of what I could give someone, not because I fit some narrow definition of value, because someone looked at me and saw a person worth protecting, worth keeping. If that's coercion, fine. Coerce me. Chen's expression didn't change. That's the trauma bond talking. It's common in trafficking situations. The victim develops feelings for their captor as a survival mechanism. I'm not a victim. I'm not traumatized. I'm a grown woman who made a choice. A choice influenced by fear, vulnerability, and a man with significant power over your circumstances. Chen gathered the photographs. I want to help you, Ms. Brooks, but I can't if you won't be honest about what's happening. I'm being honest. No, you're protecting him because you've been conditioned to believe your safety depends on his approval. She stood. We're going to give you some time to think. When you're ready to tell the truth, we'll be here. They left her alone again. Nia sat in the sterile room and felt something crack inside her chest. Not doubt, rage. Rage that strangers thought they could tell her what she felt. Rage that her choices were being reframed as symptoms. Rage that everything she'd built in the past 2 weeks was being dismantled by people who didn't know her, didn't know Min Jae, didn't know anything except their predetermined narrative. Hours passed. Someone brought water, stale sandwich, more waiting. Finally, Agent Parker returned, alone this time. You're free to go, she said. Just like that? We can't hold you without charging you, and we don't have enough yet. The word yet hung heavy. But this isn't over, Ms. Brooks. We're building a case. If you're involved, willingly or not, it's going to come out. There's nothing to come out. I'm not involved in anything. Then you have nothing to worry about. Parker held the door open. There's someone waiting for you. Nia expected Min Jae, or maybe one of his lawyers. Instead, Ji-won stood in the lobby. She looked immaculate as always. Tailored dress, perfect hair, expression cold enough to freeze blood. Hello, Nia. What are you doing here? Making sure you understand what you're walking back into. Ji-won gestured to a quiet corner away from the security desk. Can we talk? 5 minutes. Every instinct screamed no. But Nia's legs were shaking from hours of sitting and her brain was fried from Chen's interrogation. So she followed. They sat on a bench beneath harsh fluorescent lighting. Ji-won crossed her legs with elegant precision. I didn't come here to gloat, she said. I came to warn you. Warn me about what? About Min Jae. About what he is. What he's capable of. I know what he is. Do you? Because I've known him for 15 years, and I'm still learning new ways he lies. Ji-won's perfect composure cracked slightly. Did he tell you about his wife? Yes, Soo-jin. She died of cancer. That's what he tells everyone. It's cleaner than the truth. Nia's stomach tightened. What truth? Soo-jin didn't just have cancer. She had cancer because of the stress of living with him. The constant fear, the violence, the knowledge that any day could be the day someone used her to hurt him. Ji-won leaned closer. She begged him to stop, to leave the business, to give their children a normal life. He refused, and she withered away in that mansion until there was nothing left but guilt and medical bills. You don't know that. I was there. I held her hand while she died. I heard her final words. Ji-won's voice went soft, vicious. She said, don't let him destroy anyone else. She made me promise, and I failed, because he's destroying you. That's not... It is. You just can't see it yet. The protection, the guardianship papers, the children needing you. It's all designed to trap you, make you feel essential, irreplaceable. Ji-won stood. I loved him. I probably still love him, but I'm not willing to die for it. Are you? She walked away, heels clicking against linoleum, leaving Nia alone with words that burrowed under skin like infection. Min Jae was waiting outside the FBI building in his black sedan. He climbed out the second he saw her, crossed the sidewalk in 3 strides, and pulled her into his arms without a word. Nia let him, buried her face in his shoulder and breathed in cedar and safety and tried not to think about Ji-won's accusations. Are you okay? His voice was rough against her hair. No, yes, I don't know. What did they ask you? Everything. How we met. Why I stayed. They think you coerced me. I know. Chen's good at spinning narratives. He pulled back just enough to see her face. What did you tell them? The truth. Which is that I chose this. Chose you. She searched his eyes for something. Reassurance, honesty, proof that Ji-won was lying. Did Sujin ask you to leave the business? Min-jae went very still. Who told you that? Ji-won. She was at the FBI building. Of course she was. He let go of Nia, stepped back, rubbed his face. What else did she say? That your wife died because of the stress. That she begged you to stop and you refused. That Nia's throat closed. That you destroy people. Silence stretched between them like broken glass. Is it true? Nia whispered. Parts of it. Min-jae wouldn't look at her. Sujin did ask me to leave, multiple times, and I said no. Not because I didn't love her, because leaving meant abandoning hundreds of people who depended on me, families, businesses, the infrastructure my father built. So you chose them over her. I chose responsibility over comfort, and it killed her, slowly, over years. He finally met her eyes. If you're looking for me to say Ji-won's wrong, I can't. She's not. I did destroy my wife, and I'll probably destroy you too. It's what I do. Nia felt like she'd been gutted. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserve to know what you're walking back into. You think I'm some complicated man with a good heart buried under necessary violence. I'm not. I'm exactly what Ji-won says. Selfish, dangerous, incapable of putting people before power. Then why did you save me? I don't know. The admission seemed to tear out of him. Maybe because you reminded me of Sujin. Maybe because I wanted to feel like a good person for 5 minutes. Maybe because I'm so fucked up I can't help collecting broken things. He laughed. Bitter sound. It doesn't matter why. What matters is you're in danger because of me. And it's only going to get worse. So what are you saying? I should leave? I'm saying you should run. Before I kill you the same way I killed her. The words hit like bullets. Nia staggered back a step. Get in the car, Min-jae said quietly. I'll take you wherever you want to go. New city, new name, new life. I'll make sure you're safe. And your children? We'll survive. They always do. That's not good enough. It's all I have. Nia looked at him standing there in the gray afternoon light, offering her freedom like it was kindness instead of cowardice. And something inside her snapped. No. Nia, I said no. I'm not running. I'm not letting Ji-won win. I'm not abandoning Hana and June because you're having a guilt crisis. She moved closer. You want to push me away? Fine, push. But I'm pushing back because I'm not Sujin. I'm not going to wither away quietly while you make decisions for me. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. You're terrified of caring, of losing someone else, of being human enough to hurt. So you're trying to destroy this before it destroys you. She grabbed his jacket. Too late. We're already destroyed. Question is whether we rebuild or just stand in the rubble. Min-jae stared at her. Something raw and desperate moved across his face. Then his phone rang. He answered without looking away from her, listened, and everything changed. When? His voice went dead. How many casualties? Nia's blood went cold. I'm on my way. He ended the call. Get in the car, now. What happened? Kozlov attacked the estate 30 minutes ago. Full assault. Mrs. Yoon got June and Hana to the safe room, but his voice cracked. But they're trapped. Fire started in the west wing, smoke spreading through the ventilation system. Nia was running before he finished speaking. Into the car, door slamming. Min-jae floored it before her seatbelt clicked. They flew through Manhattan traffic like demons, horns blaring, near misses. Min-jae on the phone barking orders in Korean while driving one-handed at speeds that should have killed them. How long do they have? Nia asked. 20 minutes. Maybe less. Depends on how fast the smoke spreads. Can't they get out? The safe room's designed to withstand external attacks, but it's not fireproof, and the exit is blocked by debris from the explosion. Explosion? Kozlov used RPGs, hit the west wing, brought down half the structure. Min-jae's hands were white on the steering wheel. He's not trying to capture. He's trying to send a message. What message? That everything I touch burns. They reached the estate in 15 minutes. Should have taken 40. The gates were blown open. Smoke rose from the mansion in thick black columns. Fire trucks were just arriving, but the flames had too much of a head start. Min-jae abandoned the car and ran. Nia followed. The front of the house was chaos, men shouting, firefighters coordinating, someone screaming about casualties in the East Wing. Min-jae grabbed one of his men. "Where's the fire?" "West Wing through the center. It's spreading fast. The safe room." "I know. Get me access." "Sir, the structure's not stable." "I don't care. Get me in." They ran through smoke and heat. The house Nia had started thinking of as home was dying around them. Walls cracked. Ceiling collapsed somewhere behind them. Heat so intense it felt like breathing fire. The hidden entrance to the safe room was blocked by a fallen beam. 3 men were trying to move it, not working. Min-jae grabbed a fire axe from one of them and started hacking at the beam with brutal efficiency. Nia helped pull away pieces. Wood, plaster, metal, hot enough to burn through gloves. Finally, enough space. Min-jae forced the door mechanism. It resisted, jammed from heat or damage. He slammed his shoulder into it. Once. Twice. The third time something gave. The door opened onto stairs filled with smoke. "Hana?" Min-jae's voice was raw. "June!" No response. He descended into darkness. Nia followed, covering her mouth with her shirt. The smoke was thick enough to blind. She felt along the wall, following the sound of Min-jae's movement. The safe room door was sealed. Min-jae pounded on it. "Mrs. Yoon, open the door!" Nothing. "They must have passed out," one of his men said from behind them. "CO2 levels. Override it." "Sir, the system—" "I said override it." The man pulled out a device, entered codes with shaking fingers. The door hissed and started to open. Smoke poured out. And silence. Terrible silence. Min-jae pushed inside. Nia followed. Mrs. Yoon was unconscious on the floor. Beside her, June lay with his arm around Hana, both children completely still. Min-jae made a sound Nia had never heard from him. Animal. Broken. He grabbed Hana, pressed his fingers to her neck, searching for a pulse. "She's alive." "Barely." He looked at his men. "Get them out, all of them, now." They moved fast, lifting children, supporting Mrs. Yoon, climbing stairs while the house collapsed around them. Nia carried June's legs while a guard carried his upper body. The boy was so light. Too light. Like he weighed nothing at all. They broke into open air. Paramedics swarmed immediately. Hana was ripped from Min-jae's arms and laid on a stretcher. Oxygen mask. Chest compressions. Someone shouting medical terms Nia didn't understand. June was breathing, shallow but steady. They put oxygen on him anyway. Mrs. Yoon was conscious but disoriented, asking for the children in frantic Korean. "Are they going to be okay?" Nia asked. Nobody answered. Min-jae stood watching paramedics work on his daughter with an expression that looked like watching the world end. His hands were clenched so tight blood dripped from where nails dug into palms. Hana coughed. Small sound, followed by crying, weak but real. Min-jae dropped to his knees beside the stretcher. "I'm here, baby. Appa's here." The little girl's eyes opened, found her father. "Scared," she whispered. I know, but you're safe now." They loaded the children into ambulances. Min-jae climbed into one, turned back to Nia. "Stay with Mrs. Yoon. I'll call you from the hospital." Then he was gone. Sirens wailing, leaving Nia standing in the ruins of what used to be safety. She looked at the burning mansion, at the firefighters losing their battle, at the smoke rising into an indifferent sky. And she understood with terrible clarity what Ji-won had meant. Everything Min-jae touched burned. The question was whether she'd burn with it or walk away while she still could. The hospital waiting room smelled like disinfectant and fear. Nia sat in a plastic chair that dug into her spine while nurses moved past with practiced indifference to human suffering. Mrs. Yoon was 3 rooms down being treated for smoke inhalation. June was stable, oxygen levels climbing back to normal. But Hana was still in emergency care and nobody would tell Nia anything because she wasn't family. Except she was. The papers said so. The will said so. But bureaucracy didn't care about paperwork when a child's life hung in the balance. Min-jae emerged from the emergency wing 40 minutes after they arrived. His face was gray, soot still streaked his cheek, blood on his shirt from where he'd torn through wreckage with bare hands. "She's breathing on her own," he said, voice flat, empty. They're keeping her overnight for observation, but she's going to be okay. Nia stood, crossed to him. He didn't move when she wrapped her arms around him, just stood there like a statue while she held on tight enough to feel his heartbeat through fabric and fear. June? He asked. Stable. Asking for you. And Mrs. Yoon? Shaken but alive. Min-jae nodded, still not moving, not returning the embrace, just existing in the space she'd created around him. I need to make calls, he said finally. Kozlov's going to pay for this. Min-jae, he burned my home, nearly killed my children. There's no negotiation here, no settlement, just consequences. He pulled away gently. Stay with them. I'll be back. He walked toward the exit with the purposeful stride of a man about to declare war. Nia watched him go and felt something cold settle in her chest. This was the point where everything changed, where Min-jae stopped being the complicated man trying to protect his family and became the monster everyone warned her about. She went to June's room, found him propped up in bed, oxygen cannula in his nose, staring at the wall with those two old eyes. Hey, she said softly. Hey. He didn't look at her. Is Hana okay? Yeah, she's going to be fine. And Dad? Angry. Good. He should be. June's hands clenched the hospital blanket. Kozlov needs to die for this. The casual way he said die made Nia's stomach turn. 10 years old and already fluent in the language of retribution. Your dad will handle it. He better. Because if he doesn't, I will when I'm old enough. The boy finally looked at her. You think that makes me a monster? I think it makes you your father's son. That's what I'm afraid of. He turned back to the wall. Mrs. Yoon told me once that my grandfather was worse than Dad, crueler, more violent, and my great-grandfather was worse than him. It's like our family tree is just generations of men getting progressively more broken. You don't have to be broken. Don't I? Look where I am. Look what happened today. This is my life, has been since I was born, will be until someone finally kills Dad, or me, or both of us. He closed his eyes. I'm tired, Nia. Can you just sit here? I don't want to be alone. She pulled a chair beside his bed, took his small hand in hers. He didn't pull away. They sat in silence while machines beeped and hospital sounds filtered through walls. Eventually, June's breathing deepened into sleep. Nia stayed anyway, holding his hand, thinking about family trees and broken men and children who never had a choice. Min-jae didn't come back that night. Nia dozed in the chair, waking every time a nurse checked June's vitals. At dawn, Mrs. Yoon appeared in the doorway. She looked ancient, all the carefully maintained composure stripped away to reveal exhausted grief beneath. Where is he? She asked in heavily accented English. I don't know. He left last night. Mrs. Yoon made a sound, Korean phrase that needed no translation, disapproval mixed with worry, mixed with resignation. This is how it always goes, she said. Something bad happens. He disappears into that dark place inside himself. Comes back covered in other people's blood. She moved to June's bedside, touched his hair with gentle fingers. These children deserve better. I know. Do you? Because you're choosing this. You can still leave. I'm not leaving them. Not them. Him. Mrs. Yoon's eyes were sharp despite the exhaustion. The children, I understand, they need you. But Min-jae? He's going to destroy himself and take everyone nearby with him. That's who he is. Who he's always been. You've stayed. I made a promise to his mother before she died. To watch over her grandchildren. Keep them safe when their father couldn't. She looked at Nia fully. What promise are you keeping? I don't know yet. Then figure it out, before it's too late. She left. Nia sat there holding June's hand while dawn light crept across sterile floors, and she tried to understand what promise she'd made without meaning to. Min-jae finally returned 8 hours later. His clothes were different, black suit, no blood. But his eyes told a different story, cold, empty. The eyes of someone who'd done terrible things and felt nothing. Kozlov's dead, he said without preamble. Nia's breath caught. What? Found him in a warehouse in Brighton Beach, along with 16 of his top people. Min-jae sat down heavily. It's done. You killed 17 people. I killed the man who tried to murder my children. The others were acceptable losses. The casual mathematics of it, acceptable losses, made her sick. The police will find a crime scene with no witnesses and no evidence pointing back to me. By tomorrow, it'll be written off as gang violence. Business as usual. He looked at June sleeping. How is he? Scared, angry, talking about killing people when he grows up. Yeah, that sounds about right. Min-jae, we can't. Nia didn't know how to finish the sentence. This has to stop. It did stop. Kozlov's dead. Problem solved. Until the next problem. The next enemy. The next person who decides your family makes good leverage. Then I'll kill them too. And June will watch. And Hana will learn. And they'll grow up thinking violence is the only language that matters. It is the only language that matters. Min-jae stood. I tried peace. I tried negotiation. I tried being reasonable. And Kozlov responded by burning my home and nearly killing my children. So now he's dead and everyone else knows what happens when they cross that line. You're proving Ji-won right. You destroy everything you touch. I know. He looked at her with something that might have been regret under all the emptiness. That's why you should leave. Take the money I offered. Start over somewhere Kozlov's friends can't find you. Live. And your children? Will be safer without you. You're a target now. Everyone knows you matter to me. That makes you a liability. The words hit like fists. A liability. A complication I can't afford. Not anymore. He moved toward the door. I'll have my lawyers draw up dissolution papers. You'll be financially secure, protected from legal blowback. Free. Free? Nia laughed. Bitter sound. You think signing papers makes me free? It's the best I can offer. No, the best you can offer is being honest. You're pushing me away because you're scared. Because caring about me means another person Kozlov could have used. Another weakness. Another... It's not fear, it's mathematics. Every person I care about becomes a target. Sujin learned that. You're learning it now. The children already know. I'm simplifying the equation. By eliminating me. By setting you free before I get you killed. He looked back once. I'm sorry, Nia, for all of it. But this is for the best. He left. Again. Always leaving. Nia stood in the hospital room trying to breathe through rage that felt like drowning. June stirred, eyes opening slowly. He's pushing you away, the boy said quietly. Same thing he did with everyone else after Mom died. Easier to be alone than risk losing someone. I know. You're still going to stay, aren't you? I don't know. Honest answer. Only answer she had. Good. June closed his eyes again. At least you're honest about not knowing. Dad's convinced he knows everything. Makes him stupid. 2 days later, Nia was back at what remained of the estate. The west wing was gone, collapsed into itself. Fire damage scarred the rest of the structure, but the bones were intact. The safe room had held. The children's bedrooms were untouched, rebuildable. Workers were already clearing debris. Min-jae had teams working around the clock. Money talked, and apparently it said rebuild fast. She found him in his study, one of the few rooms that survived mostly intact. He was on the phone, speaking rapid Korean, coordinating reconstruction, or revenge, or both. He saw her, ended this call. You shouldn't be here. Probably not, but here I am. Nia, I talked to Hana this morning. She drew me a picture, our family holding hands. She included me, right there between you and her. Nia pulled it from her bag. Crayon drawing, stick figures. She asked when I'm coming home. Min-jae looked at the picture. Something cracked in his expression. What did you tell her? That I didn't know because you're trying to push me away for my own good. Nia moved closer. But here's the thing. I don't want to be protected from you. I want to be with you, even if it's dangerous, even if it's stupid, even if everyone thinks I'm crazy. You are crazy. Probably. But I'm your kind of crazy. She touched his face, felt him tense. Stop trying to save me from yourself. Let me make my own choices. I already made the choice for you. No. You made a choice for yourself. To be alone. To push away anyone who might matter. To build walls so high nobody can reach you. Her hand dropped. I'm not asking you to tear down the walls. I'm asking you to let me stand on the other side anyway. Why? Because I love you, you stubborn bastard. The words fell heavy in the space between them. Min-jae stared at her like she'd just confessed to murder. No, you don't. Yes, I do. I love you. I love your broken pieces. I love how you burn breakfast. I love how you look at your children like they're the only good thing you ever created. I love... Her voice cracked. I love that you're terrified right now, because it means you feel something too. Nia, say it. Tell me you don't feel anything and I'll walk away. I'll sign your papers. I'll disappear, but you have to say it. Silence stretched. Min-jae's jaw worked, hands clenched and unclenched. I can't, he finally said. Can't what? Can't tell you I don't feel anything, because I do, and it's going to get you killed. Maybe. Or maybe we survive this, together. Nobody survives me, Nia. Everyone I love dies or leaves or what? Stays? Chooses you anyway? Loves you despite the danger? She grabbed his jacket. I'm not Soojin. I'm not asking you to change. I'm asking you to let me stay. Min-jae broke, pulled her against him with desperate strength, buried his face in her hair. She felt him shaking. I can't lose you too, he whispered. I can't. Then don't push me away. It's all I know how to do. Learn something new. They stood there in the ruins of his study while workers shouted outside and the world kept spinning. When they finally pulled apart, Min-jae's eyes were wet. I don't deserve you. Probably not, but you're stuck with me anyway. She smiled. Now take me to see Hana. She needs to know her family's intact. The hospital released Hana and June 3 days later. Mrs. Yoon fussed over them with the intensity of someone who'd almost lost everything. Min-jae barely left their side. And Nia? Nia discovered what it meant to be family. Hana had nightmares, woke up screaming about fire and smoke. Nia would hold her until the shaking stopped, singing lullabies she barely remembered from her own childhood. June didn't talk about it, just got quieter, more withdrawn. Until Nia found him in the temporary housing Min-jae had rented, staring at the wall with tears streaming down his face. I thought we were going to die, he said when she sat beside him. I know. I couldn't protect Hana. I just laid there and waited. You kept her calm. That's protection too. It's not enough. It's everything. Nia pulled him close. You're 10, June. You're not supposed to protect anyone. That's our job. Then why does it keep happening? Why do we keep almost dying? She didn't have an answer, just held him while he cried into her shoulder. 10 years old and already carrying trauma that would mark him forever. 2 weeks after the fire, federal prosecutors dropped their investigation. Sandra Chen released a statement saying new evidence cleared Min-jae of trafficking charges. Ji-won's accusations were dismissed as hearsay from a bitter ex-friend. Nia suspected money changed hands, or threats, probably both. She didn't ask. Some things were better left unknown. The estate reconstruction moved fast. Min-jae hired the best. Fireproofing, better security, a safe room that actually had emergency oxygen and fire suppression systems. It'll be ready in 6 months, he told Nia while they walked the grounds. Better than before. Different. Different better or different worse? Just different. She looked at the skeleton of the West Wing. Does it ever get easier, living like this? No, you just get better at pretending it's normal. That's bleak. That's honest. He took her hand. I'm rebuilding the house, but I can't rebuild what we had before. That innocence, that belief we might be safe. We were never safe. We just didn't know it yet. And now? Now we know, and we choose it anyway. She squeezed his hand. That's what love is. Choosing someone even when you know exactly how dangerous they are. You're certifiably insane. Yeah, but you love me anyway. He smiled. Yeah, I do. The words were quiet, almost casual, but they carried weight that made Nia's chest ache in the best way. That night, Min-jae gathered everyone in the temporary house, Nia, the children, Mrs. Yoon, his inner circle of trusted men. Kozlov is dead, he said. But his organization isn't. They'll retaliate. When they do, we need to be ready. More security? One of his men asked. More everything. But also, he looked at Nia. Also, I need to know my family is protected, even if something happens to me. Nothing's going to happen to you, Hana said. Small voice, fierce conviction. I hope not, baby, but we plan for the worst. He pulled out documents. I've updated my will. If I die, Nia becomes your guardian. Mrs. Yoon remains as support. My business holdings go into a trust managed by people I trust. You'll be taken care of. Appa, stop, June said. You're scaring Hana. I'm being realistic. We don't get to pretend anymore. Then stop pretending you might die and just don't die instead. The child logic made Min-jae pause, then laugh. Rough sound, but real. I'll do my best. After the meeting, after the children were asleep, Min-jae and Nia sat on the temporary patio watching security patrols circle the property. Do you really think they'll come after us again? She asked. Yes. Not today, maybe not this month, but eventually someone will decide I'm vulnerable, that you're my weakness, and they'll try to exploit it. And when they do, I'll destroy them the same way I destroyed Kozlov. No hesitation, just fact. I won't let anyone hurt my family again. Min-jae, I know what you're going to say, that violence begets violence, that killing Kozlov just created 17 new enemies, that this cycle never ends. He looked at her. You're right, but I'd rather be violent and alive than peaceful and dead. What about another option? There is no other option, not in my world. Then maybe we change worlds, he laughed. You want me to what? Retire? Become a suburban dad with a boring job and a boring life? I want you to have a choice. Right now you're trapped in your father's empire, his expectations, his legacy. But what if you weren't? That's not how this works. Why not? Because, he stopped. Because I don't know how to be anything else. Then learn. Same thing you told me about love, learn something new. Min-jae was quiet for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was careful. If I tried to leave, truly leave, there would be consequences. People who depend on my organization, families, workers, not all of them criminals, some just trying to survive. So take care of them. Make sure they're protected, then walk away. It's not that simple. Nothing about us is simple, but we keep choosing it anyway. He pulled her close. She fit against him like she was designed for exactly this space. You make me want things I shouldn't want, he said against her hair. Like what? Normal, safety, a life where my children don't learn emergency protocols before they learn multiplication tables. He tightened his arms around her. You make me want to be better. Then be better. Just like that? Just like that. They sat in comfortable silence while night deepened and stars appeared despite light pollution. Somewhere in the distance, sirens wailed. The city never stopped moving, never stopped bleeding. But here, in this moment, they had peace. It lasted exactly 8 hours. Nia woke to her phone ringing, unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. Nia Brooks? Female voice, familiar. Who is this? Ji-won. Don't hang up. Nia sat up. Beside her, Min-jae stirred. What do you want? To warn you. There's a hit on Min-jae. Contract went out 3 hours ago. $250,000 to whoever kills him before the end of the week. Bullshit. You're trying to scare me. I'm trying to keep him alive. Despite everything, I don't want him dead. Ji-won's voice cracked. Please. Get him somewhere safe. Somewhere nobody knows about. They're coming. The line went dead. Nia shook Min-jae awake. We have a problem. He listened to her recount the call. His expression went from sleepy to lethal in seconds. She's not lying, he said. Ji-won has connections. She'd know. $250,000. That's enough to bring out every freelancer on the East Coast. He was already moving, pulling on clothes. We need to move. Now. The children? Get them up. Mrs. Yoon, too. We have 10 minutes before this place becomes a war zone. They moved fast. June barely woke up when Min-jae carried him. Hana cried, but didn't fight. Mrs. Yoon grabbed essentials with practiced efficiency. 3 cars waited outside. Min-jae's most trusted men already in position. Where are we going? Nia asked. Somewhere they won't look. Somewhere I swore I'd never return. He buckled Hana into a car seat. My father's compound, 2 hours north. Empty since he died, but defensible. They drove in convoy, 3 black SUVs moving through pre-dawn darkness. Nia held Hana in the back seat. The little girl had stopped crying, just stared out the window with those 2 knowing eyes. "Are we going to die?" she asked quietly. "No, baby. We're going to be okay. You promise?" Nia looked at Minjae in the rearview mirror. He met her eyes, nodded once. "I promise," Nia said, and prayed it wasn't a lie. The compound was brutal. High walls, guard towers, the architecture of paranoia. Minjae's father had built it 30 years ago when Korean organized crime was fragmenting and everyone needed fortresses. They drove through gates that screamed with rust. The main house was dark, empty. Haunted by memories Minjae clearly didn't want to revisit. "Get everyone inside," he ordered. "Full lockdown, nobody in or out without my authorization." His men moved efficiently. Within minutes, the compound transformed from abandoned to operational. Lights, security systems, armed positions. Minjae stood in the foyer of his father's house looking like he wanted to burn it down. "You okay?" Nia asked. "I swore I'd never come back here. This place, it's where my father made me into what I am. Lessons learned in blood. Punishments that left scars." He touched the wall like it might bite him. "Every room has a memory I've spent years trying to forget. We don't have to stay long. Long enough to figure out who put the hit out. Long enough to end it." He looked at her. "This is going to get ugly, Nia. Uglier than anything we've faced." "I know. I need you to protect the children, no matter what happens, even if—" He stopped. "Even if I don't make it. Don't talk like that. I'm being realistic. There's a $250,000 bounty on my head. That brings out professionals, people who don't miss. Then we don't let them get close. It's not that simple. It never is. But we keep fighting anyway." She touched his face. "You don't get to die, Minjae. I won't allow it." He kissed her, desperate, like memorizing her taste in case it's the last time. When they broke apart, his forehead rested against hers. "I love you," he whispered, "in case I don't get another chance to say it. You'll get plenty of chances, because we're surviving this. From your mouth to—" He stopped, smiled sadly, to whatever might be listening. They settled the children in bedrooms that smelled like dust and regret. Mrs. Yoon made food nobody wanted to eat. Minjae's men took positions while he made calls trying to trace the contract. Nia sat with June and Hana in what used to be Minjae's childhood room. The boy was reading again, always reading. Hana colored a picture of flowers with fierce concentration. "Is this where Appa grew up?" Hana asked. "Yeah. It feels sad." Painfully accurate for a 5-year-old. His childhood wasn't easy. "Neither's ours," June said without looking up from his book. "Generational trauma. Read about it. Apparently we're textbook cases." "You're 10. You shouldn't know words like generational trauma." "Yeah, well, we don't get normal childhoods. Might as well get fancy vocabulary instead." Night fell. The compound felt like a prison. High walls keeping threats out or keeping them trapped in. Hard to tell which. Minjae worked through the night. By dawn, he had answers. The contract came from the Volkov family. Russians. They had ties to Kozlov. This is retaliation. He looked exhausted. "They're not just coming for me. They want everyone. You, the children. Total annihilation. Then we fight. We can't fight what we can't see. They'll send professionals. People who specialize in making families disappear." "So what do we do?" "I draw them out. Make myself the target. While they're focused on me, you get the children somewhere safe." "No, we stay together." "Nia, I said no. You don't get to sacrifice yourself. Not for me. Not for anyone. It's not sacrifice. It's mathematics. 1 life for 4. Bullshit mathematics. You're trying to be a hero. I'm trying to be a father who actually protects his children instead of putting them in constant danger. Then protect them by staying alive." They stared at each other. Battle of wills neither wanted to lose. Finally, Minjae's phone rang. He answered, listened. His expression went carefully blank. "Understood." He ended the call. "They're here." "What?" Thermal imaging picked up movement outside the north wall. At least 6 shooters, maybe more. He was already moving. "Get the children to the reinforced basement. Now." Nia ran. grabbed Hana from her bed, shook June awake. Mrs. Yoon appeared like a ghost, shepherding them toward stairs that led down into concrete and steel. Behind them, gunfire erupted. The basement was smaller than the estate's safe room, tighter. Nia could hear everything, every shot, every shout, every impact that made the walls shake. Hana screamed. Nia held her close, covering her ears, singing lullabies that couldn't possibly drown out the sounds of violence overhead. June sat in the corner, not crying, not moving, just staring at nothing with that terrible emptiness children learn when trauma becomes routine. Mrs. Yoon prayed in Korean, not to anything specific, just words thrown into darkness, hoping something caught them. The fighting went on forever, or maybe 15 minutes, time lost meaning when measured in gunshots. Then silence, terrible silence. The door opened. Min-jae stood in the entrance, blood on his face, hands, shirt, but standing, alive. "It's over," he said. Hana launched herself at him. He caught her despite the pain it clearly caused, held her tight while she cried into his shoulder. "Are they dead?" June asked. "Yes." "All of them?" "Yes." "Good." Min-jae looked at his son, saw himself reflected there, saw the cycle continuing, and something in his expression broke. "No," he said. "Not good. Not good at all." He set Hana down gently, looked at Nia. "This ends now. Whatever I have to do, whoever I have to kill or pay off or threaten, this ends. My children aren't growing up in war zones." "How?" Nia asked. "I don't know yet, but I'll figure it out." He pulled her close, kissed her forehead. "Because you were right. I can't keep choosing violence and expecting different results. Something has to change." Starting with? Starting with making sure the Volkov family understands that coming after me means mutually assured destruction. Then, he looked at his children, then we find a way out. For all of us. Outside, dawn was breaking. Inside, Min Jae-kong was finally ready to fight for something other than survival. He was ready to fight for peace, even if it meant burning down everything he'd built to get there. The bodies were gone by noon. Min Jae's cleanup crew worked with the efficiency of people who'd done this before. Too many times before. Nia watched from an upstairs window while men in hazmat suits scrubbed blood from concrete and loaded black bags into unmarked vans. 6 shooters. All dead. All professionals who'd taken the $250,000 contract thinking it would be easy money. They were wrong. Min Jae sat in his father's study, a room he'd avoided for 20 years, making calls that would either end the war or escalate it beyond control. Nia could hear his voice through the door, calm, measured, the voice of a man negotiating with people who only understood violence. She knocked once, entered without waiting for permission. Min Jae looked up, phone still pressed to his ear. He held up one finger. "Wait, I understand your position," he said in English for her benefit. "But you need to understand mine. Your people tried to kill my children. That's not a negotiation. That's a declaration of war. So here's what happens next. You pull every contract, every bounty, every threat against my family. And in exchange, I don't burn your entire organization to the ground." Pause. "Yes, I can. And we both know it. So stop posturing and make the smart choice." He ended the call, set the phone down with careful precision. "Volkov?" Nia asked. "His son, Dmitri. The old man's too smart to take my calls directly." Min Jae rubbed his face. "They're considering it, which means they're scared. Good. And if they say no, then I make good on the threat. Burn everything they own. Kill everyone they love. Become the monster they think I am." He looked at her. "Is that what you want? A man who solves problems with genocide? I want you alive. I want the children safe. Whatever that takes. Even if it costs me my soul? You still have a soul left to lose?" The question wasn't cruel, just honest. Min Jae laughed. Rough sound. "Fair point." She sat across from him. The desk between them was scarred with cigarette burns and knife marks, evidence of his father's temper preserved in wood. "Tell me about him," Nia said. "Your father." "Why?" "Because this place is eating you alive. I can see it. Every room, every corner, memories you're trying not to remember." Min Jae was quiet for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was distant. My father was a hard man, not cruel for cruelty's sake, just convinced that strength was the only thing that mattered. He'd beat me for showing weakness, for crying, for questioning his decisions, said he was preparing me for a world that would destroy soft men. Did it work? I'm still alive, so yeah, it worked. He touched one of the scars on the desk. But it also made me into someone I hate, someone who hurts people because it's easier than finding another way, someone who... He stopped. Someone who almost got his own children killed because he couldn't let go of his father's empire. You didn't almost get them killed. Kozlov did. The Volkovs did. Because I gave them targets. Because I built a life where violence is currency and family is leverage. He stood, paced. I'm done, Nia. With all of it. I don't care what it costs. I'm getting out. How? I'm going to do something insane. Something my father would have killed me for even suggesting. He turned to face her. I'm going to offer the Volkovs everything, territory, business interests, cash payments, whatever they want, in exchange for guaranteed safety for my family and a clean exit from the organization. They'll see it as weakness. Let them. I'd rather be weak and alive than strong and dead. And if they refuse, then I activate the contingency I've been building for 3 years. Burn every bridge. Salt every field. Make sure nobody benefits from my fall. His jaw tightened. Mutually assured destruction, the only negotiation tactic guaranteed to work. Before Nia could respond, his phone rang again. Min-jae answered, listened. His expression went carefully blank. When? Pause. I'll be there in 2 hours. He ended the call and looked at Nia with something that might have been fear. Dmitry Volkov wants to meet, face to face, neutral ground. That's good, right? It's either very good or a trap designed to kill me. He pulled out his gun, checked the magazine with practiced efficiency. Either way, I'm going. Not alone, you're not. Nia, don't even try. You go, I go. That's non-negotiable. It's too dangerous. Everything about us is dangerous. This doesn't make the list any worse. She stood. Besides, someone needs to make sure you don't do something stupid like get yourself killed. Min-jae studied her. Then he pulled out a second gun from a desk drawer, smaller, designed for concealment. You know how to use this? Point and shoot, right? More complicated than that, but close enough. He showed her the safety. How to chamber a round. How to hold it without shaking. You only use this if everything goes wrong. Understood? Understood. And if I tell you to run, you run. No arguments, no heroics. You get back to the children and you disappear. There's money in offshore accounts, instructions in a safety deposit box. You'll be taken care of. Stop planning my life without you in it. Someone has to. She kissed him, hard, desperate, tasting fear and determination and the metallic edge of violence still clinging to his skin. Come back to me, she whispered against his mouth. I'll do my best. They left the children with Mrs. Yoon and Min-jae's most trusted men. Hana cried. June didn't, but his eyes said everything his voice wouldn't. Be careful, Appa, the boy said. Always am. No, you're not. But try anyway. Min-jae knelt beside his son. If something happens, nothing's going to happen. Stop talking like something will. June's voice cracked. You're coming back, both of you, because we already lost Mom. We can't lose you too. Min-jae pulled him close, held him tight while the boy finally broke and cried against his shoulder. I'm coming back, Min-jae promised. I swear. And Nia prayed he could keep that promise. The meeting location was a warehouse in Red Hook, neutral ground because both organizations had used it for smuggling operations over the years. Empty now, just concrete and shadows and the smell of old diesel. Min-jae parked 3 blocks away. They walked the rest. 2 of his men shadowed them at a distance. Insurance against betrayal. Inside the warehouse, Dmitry Volkov waited with 4 bodyguards. He was younger than Nia expected. Early 30s, expensive suit, handsome in the way dangerous men often were. Kang. Dmitry's English carried a faint Russian accent. You brought a date. How romantic. My fiancée, Nia Brooks. The word fiancée was new. Min-jae hadn't asked, hadn't proposed, just claimed it like fact. Nia didn't correct him. The woman who started all this trouble, Kozlov's men wouldn't have been in that alley if not for her. Kozlov's men were criminals who got what they deserved. Don't rewrite history. Dmitri smiled. Fair enough. Shall we talk business? That's why I'm here. They sat at a metal table someone had dragged into the center of the space. Nia stood slightly behind Minjae, hand in her jacket pocket, fingers wrapped around the gun he'd given her. You want out, Dmitri said. Not a question. Yes. And you're willing to pay for the privilege. Within reason. Define reason. Minjae pulled out a folder, slid it across the table. Territory maps, business interests, bank accounts, everything I control in New York. It's yours, in exchange for guaranteed safety for my family and a clean exit. Dmitri opened the folder, studied the contents with the focus of someone who understood what power looked like on paper. This is generous, suspiciously generous. I'm motivated. By fear? By fatherhood. Fear I can handle, but my children almost died because of this war. That's not acceptable. So you're just walking away, abandoning your father's empire. My father's dead. His empire died with him. I'm just finally admitting it. Dmitri leaned back. You know what happens if I accept this. Every organization from here to San Francisco will see it as weakness. They'll come after you. Use you as an example of what happens to men who quit. Let them try. I'll be somewhere they can't find me, living a life that doesn't involve counting bodies. And if I refuse, if I decide your offer isn't enough, then I activate the contingency. Minjae's voice went cold. Every piece of evidence I have on your organization goes to federal prosecutors. Every witness I've protected suddenly becomes cooperative. Every business you own gets audited, and every enemy you've ever made gets detailed information on how to hurt you most. That's mutually assured destruction. That's the point. You can have my territory and live, or you can have nothing and burn. Your choice. Dmitri was quiet, studying Minjae with calculating eyes. You're serious. Completely. Why should I believe you won't come back? That this isn't some elaborate trick? Because I'm tired, Dmitri. I'm tired of watching my children hide in safe rooms. I'm tired of burying people. I'm tired of being my father's son. Minjae leaned forward. I don't want this life anymore, and I'm willing to pay any price to escape it. The silence stretched. Dmitri looked at his men. They were positioned to kill if he gave the word. Nia's hand tightened on her gun. Finally, Dmitri extended his hand. Deal. But if you ever come back, if you ever try to reclaim what you're giving up, I'll kill everyone you love in front of you. Then I'll kill you, understood? Understood. They shook. The gesture felt like signing away souls. One more thing, Dmitri said. Ji-won Park. She's the one who gave us information on your movements, your routines, your weaknesses. Without her, we never would have gotten close. Nia felt Minjae tense beside her. Ji-won. She came to us 3 weeks ago. Said you needed to be stopped before you destroyed yourself and everyone around you. Very passionate. Very convincing. Dmitri smiled. I thought you should know. Before you disappear. They left the warehouse with their lives intact, but something else broken. The drive back to the compound was silent. Minjae's hands were white on the steering wheel. Are you okay? Nia asked finally. Ji-won betrayed me. Fed intelligence to the Volkovs. Nearly got my children killed because she... He stopped. Because she loved me and I didn't love her back. What are you going to do? Nothing. Nothing? She'll have to live with what she did. That's punishment enough. He pulled over, stopped the car, put his head in his hands. I'm done, Nia. With revenge. With violence. With all of it. I just want to take my children somewhere safe and forget any of this ever happened. She touched his shoulder, felt him shaking. Then let's do that. Let's disappear. Where would we even go? Anywhere. Somewhere small. Somewhere nobody knows our names. Somewhere Hana can just be a kid, and June can stop reading about war. Minjae looked at her. You'd do that? Walk away from everything? I already did. The night I got in your car. Everything after that is just details. He kissed her, soft, grateful, tasting like hope instead of fear. Marry me, he said. What? Marry me. For real. Not just claiming you're my fiancé to intimidate Russians. Actual marriage, vows, rings, all of it. Min-jae, I know it's insane. I know we've only known each other a few weeks, but I don't care. You're the first person in years who makes me want to be better, who makes me believe I can be better, so marry me. Nia laughed. That's the worst proposal I've ever heard. Is that a no? That's a yes, you idiot. Of course I'll marry you. They sat in the car laughing and crying and holding each other like they'd just survived the end of the world. Because they had. The next 3 weeks moved fast. Min-jae transferred everything to the Volkovs as promised. Territory, businesses, cash. He kept enough to disappear comfortably, but not enough to be worth hunting. Federal prosecutors suddenly dropped all investigations. Evidence disappeared. Witnesses recanted. Sandra Chen released a statement saying new information cleared Min-jae of all charges. Money talked. And apparently it said, leave this man alone. They sold the compound, sold what remained of the estate, sold every piece of property tied to the King name, erased the family from New York's criminal landscape like they'd never existed. Mrs. Yoon decided to retire, take her pension, and live with her sister in California. She hugged the children goodbye with tears streaming down her face. Take care of them, she told Nia. They're good children. They deserve happiness. I will. I promise. And take care of him too. He pretends to be strong, but he's more fragile than he knows. I know. Min-jae found them a house in a small town in Oregon, 3 hours from Portland. Population 1,500. The kind of place where everyone knew everyone and strangers were noticed but accepted if they kept to themselves. The house was smaller than the estate. Normal. Yard with actual grass, neighbors who waved. An elementary school 3 blocks away where Hana could walk without bodyguards. They arrived on a Tuesday. June helped unpack boxes with quiet efficiency. Hana ran through empty rooms, claiming bedrooms and declaring which one would be hers. That night, they ate pizza on the floor because their furniture wouldn't arrive until tomorrow. Hana fell asleep against Nia's shoulder. June read by flashlight. Min-jae sat against the wall looking exhausted and almost peaceful. Is this real? He asked quietly. Feels real, Nia said. I keep waiting for something to go wrong, for men with guns to kick down the door, for the past to catch up. Maybe it won't. Maybe. He looked at his children. I never thought I'd have this. Normal, safe, a chance to be just a father instead of a crime boss. You're still figuring out how to be just a father. Yeah, but I'm learning, he smiled. Thanks to you. They married 2 weeks later. Small ceremony, justice of the peace, June and Hana as witnesses. No guests. No family beyond the 4 of them. Nia wore a simple white dress from a department store. Min-jae wore jeans and a button-down shirt. They exchanged vows. They wrote themselves in a courthouse that smelled like floor polish and bureaucracy. When the judge said, "You may kiss the bride," Min-jae pulled her close and whispered, "Thank you for saving me." "We saved each other," she whispered back. The kiss was soft, simple. Nothing like the desperate embraces they'd shared in burning houses and federal holding rooms. This was different. This was beginning instead of survival. Hana cried. Happy tears. June smiled. Actually smiled. First time Nia had seen it. They went out for ice cream after. Sat at a picnic table outside a small shop while Hana talked about her new school and June explained the plot of his current book, and Min-jae just listened with an expression of stunned gratitude. This was family, real family, not bound by blood or obligation, but by choice. Summer turned to fall. Hana started kindergarten, made friends with other 5-year-olds who didn't know what safe rooms were, who thought her dad was just another boring parent who volunteered for field trips and burned cookies at bake sales. June struggled more. Too many memories, too much trauma disguised as maturity. But slowly, painfully slowly, he started being a kid again, joined the school chess club, made 1 friend, then 2, started laughing at stupid jokes instead of analyzing them for hidden meanings. Min-jae got a job, managing a small security consulting firm, using his skills for something legal. He'd come home tired but clean. No blood, no violence, just paperwork and client meetings and the mundane frustrations of normal employment. Nia finished her degree, online classes while working part-time at a local library. She'd walk home past houses with neat lawns and tire swings and felt something she'd forgotten existed. Peace. One evening, 6 months after they arrived, Nia found Min-jae in the backyard. He was building a treehouse for Hana, badly. The structure looked like a strong wind might knock it over. "Need help?" she asked. Desperately. He wiped sweat from his forehead. "I can dismantle assault rifles blindfolded, but apparently carpentry defeats me." She climbed up beside him. They worked in comfortable silence, hammering, measuring, laughing when boards refused to align. "Do you miss it?" Nia asked eventually. "The power, the respect, people being afraid of you." "No, yes, sometimes." He set down his hammer. "I miss feeling competent. In that life, I knew exactly who I was, what I was doing. Here, I'm just some guy who can't build a treehouse." "You're not just some guy. You're a father, a husband, someone learning how to be normal. Is that enough?" "For Hana and June, for me, yeah, it's everything." He kissed her, tasting like sawdust and sweat and new beginnings. "I love you," he said. "I know." "Do you?" "Because I spent most of my life believing I wasn't capable of real love, that violence and control were all I had to offer. You proved me wrong. You proved yourself wrong. I just gave you permission to try." The treehouse took 3 weekends to finish. When it was done, crooked and slightly unstable but functional, Hana declared it the best thing ever created. She and June spent hours up there, reading, playing, being kids. Nia watched them from the kitchen window while doing dishes. Min-jae came up behind her, wrapped his arms around her waist. "What are you thinking?" he asked. "That we made it. Against every odd, every obstacle. We actually made it. We did. Do you ever worry it won't last?" "Every day. But I'm learning to live with uncertainty, to accept that happiness is fragile, and that's okay." He rested his chin on her shoulder. "We grab it while we can, protect it, fight for it, and if it ends, at least we had it." That's very philosophical for a former crime boss. "I'm a man of many layers." She turned in his arms. "I need to tell you something." "Okay." "I'm pregnant." Min-jae froze. "What?" "About 8 weeks. I took 3 tests, all positive. I know I said I couldn't, that the doctor said it was unlikely, but apparently unlikely isn't impossible." He stared at her, processing. Then his eyes filled with tears. "We're having a baby." "Yeah, we're having a baby." He dropped to his knees, pressed his face against her stomach. She felt him shaking with sobs he'd been holding back for years. "I thought, after everything, I didn't think I'd get this again. A child born into peace instead of war. You're getting it. We're getting it." He stood, pulled her close, held her like she might disappear if he let go. That night they told June and Hana. The little girl screamed with joy, spun in circles, declared she was going to be the best big sister ever. June was quieter, but he hugged Nia tight and whispered, "Thank you for giving Dad a reason to stay good." Winter came. Snow fell on their small town. Hana built snowmen. June read by the fireplace. Min-jae learned to cook, badly, but with enthusiasm. And Nia's belly grew. She was 7 months pregnant when Ji-won appeared. Nia was at the library, restocking shelves, moving slowly because the baby made everything harder. She turned, and there she was. Perfect as always. Expensive coat, designer bag, completely out of place in their small-town library. "Hello, Nia." Nia's hand went instinctively to her stomach, protective. "What are you doing here?" "I needed to see you, to explain." "There's nothing to explain. You betrayed Min-jae. Nearly got his children killed. We're done." "I know, and I'll carry that forever." Ji-won's composure cracked. "But you need to understand. I didn't think they'd actually hurt the children. I thought if Min-jae was scared enough, he'd finally leave, finally get out, finally be safe." "By putting a hit on him?" "I didn't know about that. The Volkovs, they said they just wanted to pressure him, to make him understand he couldn't win. I never meant..." She stopped. "I loved him. I still love him. And love makes you stupid. Love makes you loyal, not treacherous." "You're right. I know you're right." Ji-won looked at Nia's belly. "You're pregnant." "Yes." "He must be happy. He always wanted more children. He is. We both are. Good. That's good. Jiwon pulled an envelope from her bag. This is for you. Information about people who might still be looking for Min Jae. Old enemies. Unfinished business. I spent 6 months tracking everyone who might be a threat. This is what I found. Why would you do that? Because I can't undo what I did. But I can try to make sure you're safe. All of you. She set the envelope on the desk. Tell Min Jae I'm sorry for everything, and that I hope he finds the peace he deserves. She left, just walked away. Nia stood there holding an envelope that either contained salvation or another trap. That night she showed it to Min Jae. He read through the contents with growing tension. This is detailed, thorough, names, locations, threat assessments. He looked up. If this is real, Jiwon just gave us everything we need to stay ahead of anyone hunting us. And if it's not real, then it's an elaborate setup, but my gut says it's genuine. Jiwon was always meticulous, and she's never lied to me, betrayed me, yes, but never lied. So what do? We verify, carefully. And if it checks out, we use it. Stay one step ahead. He pulled Nia close. Whatever happens, we protect this. Us, the children, the baby. That's all that matters. Spring arrived with early flowers and longer days. Nia went into labor on a Tuesday morning. Min Jae drove like a man possessed, not recklessly, just desperately. They made it to the hospital with 20 minutes to spare. Hana and June waited with Min Jae's security consultant co-worker, a former Marine who understood complicated families and asked no questions. The labor was long, painful. Nia had forgotten how much it hurt, or maybe she'd never known because this was her first time actually going through it, instead of hearing doctors say it was unlikely. Min Jae stayed beside her, held her hand, whispered encouragement, looked absolutely terrified in the way only fathers in delivery rooms can. When their daughter finally arrived, tiny and red and screaming with impressive lung capacity, Min Jae cried. "She's perfect," he whispered. "She's loud," Nia corrected. But she was smiling. They named her Soo-jin, after Min Jae's first wife, after the woman who'd wanted him to be better and died before seeing it happen. "She would have liked you," Min Jae told Nia while holding their daughter. "Soo-jin, my first wife. She would have understood what you did for me, for all of us." "I didn't do anything special. You loved me when I was unlovable. That's the most special thing anyone's ever done." June and Hana met their baby sister that afternoon. Hana immediately wanted to hold her. June was more cautious, but eventually reached out one finger to touch the baby's hand. She gripped it instinctively. "She's strong," June said, something like hope in his voice. "She's a Kang," Min Jae replied. "Strong is in the blood." "And a Brooks," Nia added. "Stubborn is in that blood too." They brought baby Soo-jin home 3 days later. The house felt different, fuller, louder, more alive. That night, after everyone was asleep, Min Jae found Nia in the nursery. She was watching their daughter sleep with the intensity new mothers have, like looking away might make the baby disappear. "You okay?" he asked quietly. "Just thinking." "About?" "About the alley. That night in the rain. How I thought I was going to die. How you stepped out of nowhere and changed everything." "I didn't change anything. Just delayed the inevitable." "No. You gave me a reason to survive, then a reason to live. There's a difference." Min Jae wrapped his arms around her from behind. They stood together watching their daughter breathe. "I spent years believing I destroyed everything I touched," he said. "My father told me I was cursed, that violence was my legacy, my destiny. And now? Now I'm standing in a house I own, not inherited, own, watching a daughter I helped create sleep peacefully in a town where nobody knows my name or my history. And I'm thinking maybe my father was wrong. Maybe I'm not cursed. Maybe I'm just..." He paused. "Maybe I'm just a man who finally found something worth more than power." "What's that?" "Home. Family. You." He kissed her temple. "Thank you, Nia Brooks, for being crazy enough to love me, brave enough to stay, strong enough to make me better. We made each other better. Yeah, we did. 5 years passed, Hana turned 10, joined the soccer team, developed an obsession with marine biology, stopped having nightmares about fire. June turned 15, stopped reading about war, started writing stories instead, got into a gifted program at the local high school, made a best friend who knew nothing about his past and didn't care to ask. Baby Sujin, who everyone called Su, turned 4. Wild, fearless, loud. Everything her namesake had been before the world taught her to be quiet. Minjae's hair started graying at the temples. He gained weight. Normal weight from home cooking instead of stress. Laughed more, smiled more. Became the kind of father who coached Hana's soccer team despite knowing nothing about soccer. Nia finished her degree, got a job as a librarian at the local high school, became the person students talked to about problems they couldn't tell anyone else. Built a life from scratch that felt earned instead of given. They bought a dog, a ridiculous golden retriever Susu named Pancake. The dog had no training and too much energy, but the children loved him. One evening, while Nia was making dinner and Minjae was helping Susu with finger painting, June came downstairs with a letter. "I got into the creative writing program at Columbia," he said quietly. Minjae looked up. "New York?" "Yeah, full scholarship. They want me to start in the fall." Silence fell heavy. New York. The city they'd fled. The city that held ghosts and memories and people who might still remember. "That's amazing," Nia said finally. "You should go." "Are you sure?" I know we left for a reason. We left so you kids could have choices. This is your choice, so choose it." Minjae stood, crossed to his son, pulled him into a hug that looked like letting go and holding on simultaneously. "I'm proud of you," he said, voice rough. "Your mother, both your mothers, would be proud too." "Are you scared? That going back will—" "Terrified. But that's my problem, not yours. You've spent enough of your life carrying my fear. Time to let it go." That night, after the children were asleep, Minjae and Nia sat on their back porch. The treehouse he'd built 6 years ago was still standing, crooked but functional, like their family. "He's going back," Minjae said. "Yeah. What if someone recognizes him? What if the past—" "Then we deal with it, together, same way we've dealt with everything else. I spent 5 years building this safe life, and now he's walking back into danger. He's walking toward his future. There's a difference." Minjae was quiet. Then he laughed. Soft sound. "When did you become the wise one?" "When you weren't looking." They sat in comfortable silence, the kind built from years of shared meals and difficult conversations and nights holding each other through nightmares. "Do you ever regret it?" Minjae asked. "Choosing me. Choosing this life." "Every day." He looked at her. Surprised, hurt. Nia smiled. "I'm kidding. No, I don't regret it. This life, this messy, complicated, beautiful life, it's everything I never knew I wanted. You gave me that. You and June and Hana and Susu, you gave me family. You gave me redemption. A chance to be something other than my father's son. You gave yourself redemption. I just loved you while you figured it out." Inside the house, Susu started crying. Nightmare, probably. Nia stood to go check on her, but Minjae stopped her. "I've got it. You rest." She watched him go. This man who'd once killed 17 people without hesitation, now gently waking a 4-year-old from bad dreams. The transformation was staggering. When he came back down 20 minutes later, he had Susu in his arms. The little girl was half asleep, thumb in her mouth, curled against his shoulder. She wanted to sleep out here, under the stars. So they sat together. The 3 of them, watching constellations emerge as the sky darkened. Susu's breathing deepened into real sleep. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barked. Normal sounds of normal life. "I never thought I'd have this," Minjae said quietly. Normal, safe. A daughter who sleeps peacefully instead of hiding in safe rooms. A son who writes stories instead of learning how to survive violence. A wife who chose me despite knowing exactly who I was. "You have it now." "Yeah," he kissed Susu's forehead, "and I'm never letting it go." "Even when June goes to New York?" "Especially then, because letting him go means trusting he'll come back. That we built something strong enough to survive distance." They stayed outside until cold drove them in. Put Susu to bed. checked on Hannah and June, went to their own room and held each other like they'd done 1,000 times before. "I love you," Nia whispered into the darkness. "I know," Minjae replied. "I love you too." And in that small house in that small town where nobody knew their history and nobody asked difficult questions, they built a life worth living. Years later, when Nia was asked how she survived falling in love with one of the most dangerous men in New York, she'd smile and say it was simple. She didn't survive him. She chose him. Every day. Through fire and violence and fear and all the broken pieces neither of them knew how to fix, she chose him, and he chose her back. That was all love ever really was. Choosing someone, again and again. Until choosing became breathing. Until staying became home. And home became everything.